Hello, hello. Afternoon, everyone. Always good to see that I'm actually live when the messages do start coming through. How's it going? How's your Sunday been treating you? Who's looking forward to the Barcelona? I was going to say Spanish Grand Prix, then it's no longer the Spanish Grand Prix. It is the Barcelona, the Catalonia Grand Prix. And it's the last time we're going to see it for 2 years, at least, because it's going on rotation with Spa. But evening, everyone. Alan, good to see you. Talek, Stufel, Sid, Sweatwonk, Race, Malia, everyone. Welcome for tuning in. Welcome. Ooh, get your votes in. Vote in the poll. Who do you think is going to win the race today? I have put the 4 options. Maybe I should have put Max Verstappen, because there is an interesting strategy on the cards today for Red Bull and Max Verstappen, which we will review in around half an hour's time, of course, for Strategy Corner. So make sure you don't nip away for that. So we watch the drivers, of course, make their way round to their grid slots. Hopefully, fingers crossed, track map's working today. Everyone, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. My pleasure, Dexterity. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in as always. Aiming for that 100,000 subscriber mark. We are slowly but surely making our way there. And yeah, if you could hit that subscribe button, it'd be much appreciated. You're being realistic and you're saying Merc 1-2, Hamilton 3rd. Well, Wonk, if you watch my preview video for the week, that was my exact predictions. Mercedes 1-2, and I think it's going to be George first, Kimi second, and Hamilton third. As much as I'd love Hamilton to mix it up, but I just think that Mercedes still have a bit too much in hand. But track temperatures are very hot, just like they were yesterday. That did nullify somewhat the performance advantage that Mercedes had. And if it wasn't for Lewis running out of battery out of the last corner, that was the difference. You could see, if anyone saw the comparison lap yesterday between the two of them, mate, how good is it to see Lewis Hamilton late on the brakes? Lewis Hamilton of old completely had George on toast in the corners. But that Merc is just too good under power, isn't it? Or on the power. And that was definitely every single time they got to a straight, or every single time there was a full throttle section, you could just see that Merc start to pull out again into the in front of Lewis Hamilton, and most importantly, out of the last corner. So, yeah, that's the clear advantage Mercedes has at the moment. But Lewis definitely feels comfortable and confident in that. Joby, good to see you, mate, by the way. Chuck Norris to win. Go back to sleep. That's the brother-in-law, by the way, guys. What's your name? Scott. Call me Stuffey. Afternoon, everyone, though. Afternoon. Can we add Kimi Räikkönen to the poll? No. Kimi's not there. He was there at Monaco, though, wasn't he? So at the moment, your votes for the Barcelona Grand Prix winner: George Russell, 24%. Lewis Hamilton, 51%. Kimi, 19%. And Lando Norris, 5%. And to be honest, if you listen to Lando Norris's post-quali interview yesterday, he is not confident whatsoever about his chances today. What's the temperature? What tyres will they probably start on? Well, stay tuned. We are going to go into Strategy Corner very soon. Once we've watched them make their way around to their grid slots for their reconnaissance laps, make sure there's no issues. Of course, lots of reliability issues have been at the forefront for the start of this season. I think we're going to see a safety car again today. I think we're definitely going to get a safety car, just because of the reliability issues. The least amount of reliability or DNFs we've had thus far is 2 in Suzuka. And this track is the hottest we have been to this season. It's reliant on power. They're going to be at the rev limiter. We're going to see some unfortunate reliability retirements today, or even management throughout the race. In August, we are going to Mulhouse in France the week on. Nice. Speak for everyone here when I say we love and appreciate your Stuffeyy. Oh, thank you. Keep the love coming. I'm definitely someone who likes compliments. You need to take them wherever you can get them, guys. It's 8 o'clock in Idaho. I've got 500 miles to do. One more show. Well, hopefully we'll get you through this, Drew. And, well, you've got the whole day ahead of you. Been watching the World Cup? Because I haven't here in the UK. I've watched a few games, but there's too many. I'm going to be a typical Brit and European right now. There's too many games in the early hours of the morning. How inconsiderate can you be? You don't even like football. You don't even like it. I'm only joking. Do I think Charles will make it through the race without crashing? Well, the thing is for Charles, I'm not going to say yes or no to that because he's starting 10th. So when you're starting 10th, like you're in the danger zone. You're in the vortex of danger because you're starting right in the middle of the midfield and there's going to be a lot of moving cars in that run down to turn 1. I'm not saying there'll be a collision down into turn 1, but look, he's going to be a man who wants to make quick work of the cars in front of him because he knows that he's got a good car underneath him. Like he has felt comfortable in that car. He felt very ashamed of himself in the post-quali interviews yesterday, and so he should really. It was all of his own doing. And I do think there's an element of Hamilton, definitely an element of Hamilton who's feeling a lot more comfortable with the car, applying a certain amount of pressure on the other side of the garage on Charles's side. And that is, obviously, he's trying to maximise the car, as every driver is out there. That's not an excuse, like we said yesterday, for crashing, because other drivers are able to do that without crashing. And I do think that Lewis getting on top of the car this season is definitely applying pressure. He hasn't had this amount of pressure from a teammate. Okay, Carlos Sainz, but I still feel like he felt he had Carlos Sainz comfortably. Not in his back pocket, but he had Sainz covered. And I think Vettel was the last time he truly kind of got rattled by a teammate. And I think that's one of the reasons for this season as well. But you never know. Even Matt and Tommy echoed my thoughts yesterday as well about Leclerc. I think everyone does. I think it's a unit. I don't think that's too out there, to be honest, Bob. I think it's anyone who's been watching F1 for a long time, and anyone who's even been watching F1 since Leclerc came into the sport. Like, you expect a driver like that to weed out. To be fair, it's the same with any top professional sportsman. It doesn't even have to be like motorsport. You expect someone who is considered to be one of the best in the game to have weeded out the certain mistakes that his competitors have been able to do after just a couple of years in the sport. As I said yesterday, he's approaching a decade in F1, and he is still crashing every single season. England is due for a World Cup. Well, let's hope. I know we are, but look, nothing's a given. Nothing is a given. You have to earn it. But we are probably best positioned than we've ever been to win the World Cup. But look, it's a long tournament. Do I think McLaren will be able to improve their car this season? Yes, I do. I don't know about them. Yeah, I don't know with McLaren. You know, they just seem to be all at sea right now, don't they? I don't know if it's because of the balance of the car, whether if it's just purely the power and they're not getting the most out of that Mercedes engine. I think we'll probably see quite a peaky McLaren this year, unless they do really turn it around second half of the season. But I would have more confidence in McLaren starting off next year really strong than necessarily... I could see them maybe getting their act together kind of in the last third of the season. And then you're looking at 2027 as like, okay, McLaren are ones to watch out for here for next season. McLaren seem to be like a light switch, either on or off. Yeah, it does seem like that, doesn't it? England World Cup win or Hamilton 8th championship win. You can only pick one. Oh, I would pick, as much as I'm a fan of Hamilton and a fan of Formula One, I would pick the World Cup because I've seen Lewis Hamilton win a World Championship 7 times. And of course, an 8th World Championship would be history and something that no one's ever seen before. But I've never witnessed my country win the World Cup. As have many people. And it would put the country into a feel-good factor. And for Lewis Hamilton winning an 8th World Championship, here's something else as well. We wouldn't get an extra day off work. So it's been promised that if we win the World Cup, we will get a bank holiday here in the UK. So it's an extra day off work. We have like 6 of them per year here in the UK. And yeah, if England win the World Cup, I think it's been pretty much confirmed we get an extra day off work. So for that reason alone, a World Cup. Lewis Hamilton would be great winning an 8th world title, but he isn't going to give us we're not going to be awarded a bank holiday, an extra bank holiday for it. If you were to give me the options. But I'd like to see either. I wouldn't complain seeing either. Do I think the Haas boys will be able to get points today? Well, the Haas boys, as well as Max Verstappen, have an interesting tyre selection today, which we will delve into. They are the only 3 drivers who have a different tyre selection to everyone else on the grid. They are the outliers. And could it be genius from them? We will have a look at it and we'll see. So strategy is going to be really important today. I don't know if you guys watched the F2 race earlier, but just watching the F2 race, those tyres were shredding. They were shredding so much. Now, I know the construction of F2 tyres is completely different to Formula 1 tyres, but that is it just shows how hard the tyres take a pound in here at Barcelona. And that's going to be the case in F1 today. Also, all of Portugal. Yeah, Portugal are definitely a team that could do it. I think there's a few good teams. I watched Brazil and Morocco last night. That was an entertaining match. Didn't watch Scotland because that was too early in the morning. I mean, I'd love to watch as many games as I possibly can, but yeah, too many of them are at silly times in the morning. Trying to watch F1 events in the UK is a joke. I paid for F1 TV Pro plan and still can't try using a VPA. In the UK, yeah, you can't. It's unfortunately the rights. The broadcast rights belong to Sky. They pay a pretty penny for that privilege, and because of that, you cannot get an alternative broadcast like F1 TV here in the UK. It's the case for a few other countries across the world. Also, it comes down to money. It's unfortunate. You used to be able to use VPNs, but they're pretty savvy as well, F1 TV, on blocking VPNs. So it's a real shame. Hadjar's a front runner, not a midfielder. Who said that? Hey, Graham. Oh, from Australia. Yes, you. What was the score yesterday? I actually saw the I was going to click on the highlights and I didn't see the highlights. I presume you won because on the thumbnail, it was an Australian player cheering. But there we go. But anyway, if you are struggling to watch F1, of course, we will do our best to provide you guys the best coverage as we possibly can. Of course, no live footage. I did actually. Do you know, there's something. I don't watch the TV coverage. I've got the TV coverage next to me, right? I use it as a supporting tool, like a replay tool. I will watch the highlights back on TV. But I actually last night put the qualifying replay on from Sky when I was like chilling, eating dinner. And my God, the TV direction, which Sky aren't in control of, by the way. That's the race director, led by Formula One. My God, just the TV direction is just a difficult watch, isn't it? It's just a difficult watch. And I don't know. It's just, I feel like that if I ever stopped this, I would be so. Yeah, I'm not sure I could go back to just watching Formula One on its own. Like it's It really is subpar for a product and a sport that people pay so much money to watch. Yeah. I also something, and this is my real bugbear. Has anyone noticed this year? And I think they've gone overkill on it. And I get it. They're trying to hide, of course. They're trying to hide the shame of the engines and the super clipping and so forth. But go and listen to a set of F1 highlights now. And has anyone noticed how quiet, how quiet the volume is of the cars, like the audio? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's overkill. These cars, like, we should be able to hear them, and I just don't like it. Like, it's really, really off-putting, and they need to sort that out. Like, you can patch over like the super clipping or whatever, but it's very quiet and it does nothing to like get the juices flowing. You know, when you're watching a good race back or like some wheel-to-wheel battles that we've seen. Like, it felt like I was watching, I think it was the Canada highlights. I was watching back the sprint highlights, I think it was, with George and Kimi, and I was like, it's like I might as well have this on mute, because I could not hear the engine noises at all. I couldn't hear the crowd noises. They've just reduced the audio levels of the cars so significantly, so to try and hide the clipping and the super clipping and the running out of the battery and so forth. It's just, yeah, it's too much. Years ago, couldn't hear the commentary over the V10 engines. Yeah, a complete different problem entirely. Yeah, exactly, Loz. Yeah, it's really off-putting, isn't it? It really is off-putting. Right, so we're 41 minutes away from the formation lap getting underway here, and drivers are making their way to the end of the pit lane for their formation laps. So, as if you are unfamiliar with what the reconnaissance laps are here at in Formula One, it is drivers making their way out of the pit lane so that they can basically do systems checks. They can get into a little groove, see the conditions of the track, see the track state, and they can make some changes, some limited changes accordingly based upon they're called reconnaissance laps, recon laps, sighting laps. Because it's for that reason, to make sure the car is in fit condition, and it's just like a warm-up, really. Think of it as a warm-up. They're warm-up laps, and then they line up on the grid, and then the engineers do their thing. The drivers hop out, national anthem, all that jazz, few interviews, and then we get cracking with the formation lap on the hour. Is this the final F1 thing of the year? No. The new engine regs genuinely suck. It's artificial overtakes more than anything. I disagree. I do think they're not ideal, but I don't think every overtake can be attributed to just it being artificial. Some of it is yo-yoing, but we've had some great wheel-to-wheel battles and some great, some great defense and attacking driving this season. More so than we've seen, I think, throughout the whole ground effect era. So for that, I'm happy. But yes, I agree. We shouldn't be watching F1 drivers or F1 cars on the full throttle slow up as they're approaching the end of a straight. And there should be more control attributed to the drivers. As I said, my big bugbear is, yes, the engines, but my biggest issue with the regs is the over-reliance on the machine learning algorithm. And I don't want to flog a dead horse and sound like a broken record, because I've stated this numerous times. That's relinquishing the control of the drivers in this current year in Formula One. If we sorted that out or removed it entirely and gave them sole control over the battery deployment and that, we would see a very different style of racing. I think any chance of racing this year in the Gulf States is impossible. I don't know. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Moving them to the end of the year at least is giving time and opportunity for things to change. But yeah, I mean, Saudi are pretty insistent that they're going to be okay. I don't think Bahrain, unfortunately, will be going ahead this year. They've been too affected by what's happened out there, unfortunately. And I don't know. I think Abu Dhabi maybe is a bit too far inland. Maybe Abu Dhabi may go ahead. I don't know. And Qatar has also been hit quite hard. We'll see. Will Leclerc start in the grid or the pit lane, given his crash yesterday? I believe he is starting from the grid. I think he's starting on the grid. I could be wrong, but I think he's starting on the grid. That impact that he took yesterday was straight on as well, which is what a car is designed to take an impact from. They're not really designed to take impacts from side on. That's where you then get damage to the gearbox and the engine and other internal components. But if they crash straight on, that's how the car is designed to absorb impact. So that's what happened to him yesterday. So I presume he's going to be okay, and he'll be starting on the grid, but we'll see. Did I see the ghost lap from George Russell and Lewis Hamilton last corner, basically? Yeah, it was basically down to deployment, Aaron, which we know the strength of the Mercedes is. Anytime yesterday on that ghost lap, and it was a great watch. Lewis had George Russell, as we said at the top of the stream. Lewis had George on toast for the corners, under braking. But that Mercedes is so good on power. It's just like impossible with that with the power deficit that they have to match them. And look, Lewis did a tremendous job yesterday. I don't think anyone expected them to be that close to... I didn't expect it to be on the front row. I didn't expect them to nearly snatch pole. But you can see out of the last corner, or any time there was a straight, George just like retook the lead under power, and then Lewis would regain it under braking into the corners. So if Ferrari... That yesterday is a statement, really, that if Ferrari just can provide a new engine, make use of this additional development that they're going to get from a duo, then they have a real good car. A real good car. Do I like the overtake mode system? I like the premise of it. I think... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's about them trying to find a right balance. I do like the idea that it could be used anywhere around the lap. You're not just stuck using it, having to use it in a specific zone, because that's when we then got DRS trains. So I think it is a better alternative to DRS because you can use it anywhere. So you can use it to get extra power through the corners. Like there's some high-speed corners here where you can stick it around the outside or like overtake and get an extra boost, and that's what it's designed to do. So turn 3 into turn 4, you could use that into turn 7. Like it has promoted, I think, overtaking in different areas of the race circuit that we would never have got in the last 10 years or so with DRS in use. Better talk on corner exit. The run to the line was ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. Do I reckon Lewis could break the Ferrari wind drought today? Personally, I mean... Personally, no. I still think Mercedes will be the quickest. I really do. However, it will depend on tyre deg. The track temperatures, as you can see, are hotter than it was in qualifying yesterday. 51.4. Now, for Lewis, he'll be praying for that. The hotter, the better, I think, for Lewis, because that proved yesterday just over a single lap. Now, of course, a race distance is very different entirely because you've got a full tank of fuel on board. The car reacts differently. And you're going to be using harder compounds of tyre today. And we'll have a look at the strategy in a short moment, guys, as drivers are finishing there for recon laps here, making their way around to the grid. It is going to be a race of attrition today. However, Mercedes, I think, could just drive off into the distance. But the saving grace for Lewis is that I think it will be a tyre... It will be what's the right word? A tyre management, that's it. A tyre management race today. And there's no one better out there than Lewis Hamilton in the last 20 years of Formula 1, of managing tyres. And George Russell is kind of... That's one of his weaknesses. One of George Russell's weaknesses has been his tyre management. Kimi Antonelli, still a bit too early to say how his tyre management is. And this is the first time we're going to see tyre management even in effect here in this new regulation of Formula 1. because every single race thus far has been a comfortable one stop, and there's a few unknowns. There's a few unknowns today in that regard. So that does leave a potential door open for Hamilton. I still think the safe choice is probably a Mercedes 1-2. With Hamilton maybe third. Max will have a look in a second at the strategy options that he has available today. But it's definitely time at how the cars are on their tyres today is going to pretty much decide where you finish. Because even if you're quick, if you shred your tyres too quickly, you're just going to lose too much time. Well, the reason Piastri isn't there as a vote on the poll, get your votes in, guys, of who you think is going to win the Barcelona Grand Prix, is because Piastri is starting 7th. If he was starting higher up the grid, maybe if he was starting 4th, then yes. Stroll was out on track and not moving. Where? Yes, so the drivers, where you can see Hamilton and that, they're lined up on their grid. They're lined up on their starting grid positions. So that's what happens. Sorry to tell me, but Hamilton's never been good with tyres. Go back and check. He does 2 lips and complains he has lost grip. Okay, right. You do realise that's a tactic, right? I've got no tyres left. Oh, I'm struggling so much. I've got no tyres left. And then, if you've been watching F1 long enough, you'd then know 3 laps later he's setting purple sectors. Once he's forced the other team to pit. So he dangles a carrot. He dangles a carrot. And then he goes, psych! Fastest lap after fastest lap. Do I think the V10 should be back? I don't even need this specifically V10s. I think V8s would be a nice sweet spot. But I think we need cars that sound better. I think we need less dependency on battery as well. I'm not against there being battery, but it should be there as a supporting tool, not fundamental to how the power is distributed. But yeah, V8s, V10s, I'd welcome them back. You feel like we'll get some battles between Verstappen and Norris? Yeah, could be. Could be. I mean, it's a real unknown today. At those track temps at 50 degrees, that's not what Mercedes would have wanted to have woken up to this morning. They would have wanted to have woken up to an overcast weather condition. Would have cooled the track down somewhat, and it would have benefited them some more. But today, yeah, you're going to need to look after those tyres. And Russell, he's not known for being very good on his tyres, tyre management-wise. He's a bit of a tyre shredder. Antonelli is very aggressive with his driving style as well. And there's a lot of movement on his steering wheel. How good is he at managing tyres in these F1 cars? There's a lot of unknowns that are going to be answered today. And we will see that maybe the Mercedes performance advantage they've had throughout this year could be nullified with the track conditions, the tyre management side of things. It's not long to find out. Not long to find out. What race did he win on 3 tyres? It was Silverstone 2020, I think it was. It was when it was COVID, wasn't it? So Hammy burns them up when he wants to burn them up, but he is. If you've been watching since the 70s, then you haven't really been paying attention much, Charles, have you? V10 over V12, they just scream so much better. The V10s were, yeah, listening to them personally, I saw them at Goodwood Festival of Speed. It's the only time I've really experienced them. Yeah. Lewis might make the lead into turn 1 with a good start, and Barcelona is the most average track, so it will be an even fight. Yeah, it's the longest run down to turn 1, I think, even longer than Mexico. They're very, very close to each other, but regardless, we've gone from the shortest run on the calendar to one of the longest, and, well, it bodes well if you start on the front row, as we stated yesterday. And thank you to, apologies, I forgot who mentioned it to me. But 32 of the last 35 winners of the race here at Barcelona. I was going to say the Barcelona Grand Prix because it's been the Spanish Grand Prix for umpteen years, have come from the front row, even if they haven't led into turn 1. So, yeah, potential here. I mean, it bodes very well for Russell and Hamilton, doesn't it? Mercedes have improved their starts, but I think Lewis nails them into turn 1. Yeah, I mean, look, even if they get... Mercedes have nailed their starts, so they're now on par with Ferrari. So that advantage that Ferrari has dissipated, but that's not necessarily the be-all and end-all, because It's all about the drag down into turn 1. And really, what Lewis wants is either to have... He wants one of two things. He either wants to have a much better start than George Russell so that he can get ahead of him and take the inside line into the first corner. Remember, the head at the apex rule still exists. And if you lead into the first corner and you're on the inside, the power belongs to you. You can just drive out to the racing line and the driver on the outside, as long as they don't have their front wheels ahead of your front axle, the front head of your front wheels, will have to give the position back. Or Lewis wants to have not as good of a start as George Russell so that he can slip in behind him, tuck in behind him, and slipstream past him. If they're side by side, heading down into turn 1, that's not where you want to be, because then that leaves the opportunity for those directly behind Antonelli Norris to swoop around the outside, get the slipstream, and sweep around the outside into turn 1, which we have seen a few times over the years. George Russell most recently did it from 4th place. Fernando Alonso famously did it as well and went on to win the race. So that is what you want if you're Lewis Hamilton. You even want a much better start than George to get ahead of him into turn 1 and be directly in front of him and take the inside line, or you get just not as good of a start as him and you're able to slip in behind. If you are like directly, like if you get a slightly better start than him and he isn't as good and he's side by side, that's worst case. That's not really good really for Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, right, it's time for strategy, I think. Let's just bring that up. And we'll go back. Bless you. So, here we are. Strategies for today at the Barcelona Grand Prix. This is definitely something that you need to pay attention to today. It's going to be essential. Not a one-stop strategy on offer today, it seems. No one-stop strategy. Beautiful. Strategy number 1 is starting on the medium compound tyre and utilising 2 sets of hard compound tyres. We'll have a look at who has 2 new sets available in the hard compound tyre. Then we have the strategy number 2, which is starting on the medium, using the hard, and then ending the race on the soft. And you can see there, not a lot of laps on the soft. It's a 66-lap race, and we've seen the soft this weekend just shred. So I would actually be surprised to see the soft used today. I think the only way we'd see the soft used is if there's a very late safety car and we are going to have maybe 5 laps of racing to go. But I just don't see the soft being usable. Strategy number 3, I'm surprised they haven't even suggested a 3-stop strategy here today, because starting on the softs, I think, is just... Look, we know that clean air is still important in Formula 1, but starting on a whole... starting on a whole load of tyres... Sorry, a whole load of tyres. Starting on a whole load of fuel on soft tyres is just going to shred. It's just going to shred them up. So I think that's just... Yeah. 2 seconds. You think a 2-stop for the Merc? I think it'll be a 2-stop mostly, but a 3-stop is definitely something that I think will be utilised here today, potentially, if it's there. I mean, it depends on the time made up. It depends if the degradation is really high, and if it's worth that. Of course, we'll have a look at the pit stop lost time here as well, because that's something to take consideration, and it's whether or not you're able to nullify that pit stop lost time, and it's beneficial. But I think we have seen here in the past that making an extra stop is viable. You can be aggressive here at this circuit and make up and force the other driver to stay out. And look, drivers are always going to try and hold on to track position and not necessarily dive into the pit lane to respond. But I think the 3-stop, maybe it'll be unnecessary. It depends how the race is unfolding, doesn't it? It depends how the race is unfolding, how high the degradation is, and whether... yeah, someone will pull the trigger. I think we'll see it from someone. I think we will. Right, on to the degradation. And, well, look, this is the whole reason why we have a multiple stop here, thankfully, is that the degradation is very high. Soft compound tyre, 2.25 of a second per lap you're going to lose. Not a lot, really, between the medium and the soft. 0.07 of a second separating them, and then the hard compound tyre is 0.1. So the soft compound tyre is going to shred, and the hard compound tyre is definitely the race tyre of choice today with the medium. I don't, as I said, don't think we'll see the softs. Softs will last a few laps, and then and know who has brand new softs available. Well, let's have a look. Who's got brand new softs available? Charles Leclerc has a brand new set of softs available because he didn't do an extra run in Q3, did he? Because he crashed in his first attempt in Q3. So he has a brand new set of softs. But the drivers to keep an eye on today in relation to strategy, other than, of course, your front three, are Max Verstappen, Ollie Bearman, and Esteban Ocon. They are the only drivers out there who have gone different to everyone else on the grid. They have, instead of 2 hard compound tyres available to use, they have 2 medium sets to use. Now, Max has 2 brand new sets, and Bearman and Ocon have 1 brand new and 1 used set. So the used set that they used, I think, was their attempt in Q1. They did a run in Q1 on the mediums, and it just didn't work, so they took them off. But that's going to be interesting today to see how the medium compound fares for them. So, yeah, nice to see someone mix it up. Will it pay off for them or not? Time will tell. But Russell, Hamilton, Antonelli, everyone else in the top 10, other than Lawson, has 3 used sets of tyres to use in relation to softs. 1 set of mediums, and then 2 sets of hards, because the tyres are really going to shred here today, as I keep saying. Getting ads while I'm talking. 2 secs. Ads automator is off. So unless YouTube are forcing ads on, I have ads turned off. So I have heard that YouTube on some streamers are doing that. So apologies if you do get that. Hopefully it's not too interruptive. Now, the pace difference today. Well, race simulation pace does seem to be that Mercedes are the fastest, with Ferrari not too far behind, McLaren third, with Red Bull quite far off the pace, although they did make some decent improvements. I think this is from the Friday, to be honest with you, that this has been gathered. Red Bull definitely seem to be... and definitely seem to have made improvements on the Saturday, FP3 and qualifying, then compared to their Friday pace. But yeah, as always, take this with a bit of a pinch of salt. It's going to be about tyre management more so than it is going to be necessarily about overall pace as a whole, should we say. Yesterday I had so many ads it ruined the quali for you. Apologies. I do have them turned off. Right, pit stop lost time, 23 seconds. That is the gap you're going to be keeping an eye on today. We are going to see that utilised a few times. So, yes, green flag, 23 seconds. Pitting under the safety car VSC will be 10 seconds there, 10.5 seconds. So quite a big advantage for pitting under the VSC safety car. Safety car is 50%. We have seen it in the last 7 years. So that is a lot of times we've seen the safety car, and I think we undoubtedly are going to see one today. Someone's going to pull over in an unsafe area with a reliability issue, undoubtedly, as we've seen throughout the start of this season, and that will probably continue. Interestingly, no red flags. No red flags in the last 7 years. So, yeah, interesting there. I thought we'd had seen a red flag. I always think that whenever we come to tracks that haven't had a red flag. Maybe, yeah, I'm thinking further beyond the last 7 years that we've had a red flag. Or maybe I'm thinking of a different track entirely. But 23 seconds is the gap. That's what the drivers at the front will be looking for to pull into some clean air. Of course, safety car VSC, if you're on the right side of that, you'll gain a whole host of time, which is 10.5 seconds. And that is what drivers are going to be taking into consideration today when it comes to selecting their strategies and those on the pit wall as well. Strategy number 1, I think, is the most viable. Starting on the mediums, you've got the most amount of grip off the line. Get rid of the medium, and then you're on the hard compound tyre to like twice to the end of the race. Strategy number 2, I just don't see the soft being utilised today. I really don't. Now, there are only 2 drivers, as we touched upon, that have the have two sets of mediums, which is Verstappen, Behrman, and Ocon to use. And, well, Behrman and Ocon are starting 15th and 17th, and Verstappen is starting 5th. So we could see that if there is a significant pace advantage on the medium, and it's not degrading that much. The medium may be a very good tyre today, but a lot depends on that. But bold, and I like that from Red Bull. They've always gone bold with their strategy options, haven't they? Cadillac is faster than the unstable blender Aston Martins. Exactly. So that's why you have to take this race pace thing with a pinch of salt. I mean, look, qualifying is obviously a single lap. Just because you're quick over a single lap doesn't mean you're quick over a whole race distance. But yeah, this is kind of guesswork based upon what they've done in practice on the Friday, Saturday, etc. Do I think Max could go for a medium medium strat? Probably. Yeah, probably. I mean, he will start on the mediums to... I mean, he could start on the hards, Max. He could start on the hards and go long in the race. Benefit from a safety car. I don't think he will go on the hards because I think if there's an early safety car, you want to pit under a safety car because you gain 10.5 seconds. And if he starts on the hard, he'd have to pit early to utilise that. Yes, you'd gain track position, but you'd want to get rid of you want a cheap pit stop. And starting on the hards, if there's a safety car in like 10 laps, in the first 10 laps, then getting off of the hard compound tyre early it's going to be a tall order to do the rest of the race from that distance with two medium tyres, I think. So I think starting on the mediums leaves your strategy open to go either medium, medium, hard or medium, hard, medium. That's what I think he'll do. Sunny Hayes would know when to stop, yeah. When did I start watching F1? When I was 5. Started watching it with my granddad, I think. That's like my first memory, was when I was 5. And then I started really watching the sport like properly on my own when I was probably like 10, I think. 10, 11, 12. I can't really remember. Yeah, and that's when I then started to tune into like the races whenever I could. Qualifying I didn't always tune in for because I played football and golf a lot of the time on weekends. I always kept an eye on it. Advance Happy Father's Day. Yeah, Father's Day is next week. Yeah, looking forward to that. Back when F1 was on free-to-air channels, I know. Back in the day, Mike. Back in the day. Simpler times, eh? Simpler times. But yes, those are your strategy options today. I do think that maybe the free stop is they're a bit remiss for not including the free stop here, but we will see how this race unfolds. Strategy definitely going to be key here today, as is tyre management. Let's bring our times back over. Nico was trying to ask Lewis Hamilton a question, and Lewis just went, apologies. Nico Rosberg is back, everyone. Let's have a look at the Drivers' Championship standings, shall we, before this race begins. 15 minutes until the race begins. And, well, Antonelli leads by 66 points from Lewis Hamilton in the championship on 90. George Russell is a further 2 points back after scoring nil point again for the second race in a row. He's starting on pole position today, though. And, well, if he was to finish first and Antonelli was to finish third, that would be, I think, 9 points. How many points do you get for third again, guys? Is it 12? Or is it 13 points you'd gain? Can't remember. How many points do you get for third again? I can't remember. There's quite a gap, isn't there? I know it's 18 for second. I really should know this. Is it 15 for third? 15. 15. So 10 points. He gains 10 points. Thank you. Thank you. I had a brain fart there. So he could gain 10 points here, Russell, if the race was to finish as it is starting, with himself in first, Hamilton second, and Antonelli in third. So Hamilton would lose second place to George Russell. But look, it's a long season, and we know that Ferrari, I said the hypotheticals yesterday, has a good car. And if you keep picking away at the points and you keep in it, just like Max Verstappen did last year, although Max did end up winning, obviously, a whole host of races last year. He actually won more races than both McLaren drivers. There's potential to just watch the Mercedes implode, as we saw the McLarens implode last year, and reap the potential rewards from it. Nobody will run softs. I don't think so. No, I don't think. I'm surprised. I'm surprised the soft compound tyre has been suggested in both strategy options, or in 2 of the 3 strategy options that Pirelli have suggested. I'm really surprised about that, but hey ho, I suppose they have to make something up, don't they? Mercedes in the constructors have a sizable lead over Ferrari, understandably, after winning every single race we have had this year so far, sprint races included. Ferrari are second. They have a 49-point lead over McLaren in P3, which, to be fair, is quite interesting, isn't it? McLaren are third. McLaren are third on 116 points, and they're not really that far behind Ferrari yet. Yet, they have done the least amount of laps completed this season. Pretty wild, that, isn't it? They are... Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris are at the bottom. They're 21st and 22nd out of laps completed out of all the drivers. And yet, they're still third in the Constructors' Championship. Quite sizably ahead of Red Bull. Of course, Red Bull have had some DNFs because of reliability issues as well. But just find that quite interesting there, but they're still third. Alpine are 5th. Racing Bulls are 6th. Of course, Alpine's advantage there did shift, or the points difference did shift, because Gasly was promoted back up to the podium position after the appeal for his penalties. Racing Bulls in 6th. I'm surprised Racing Bulls are... I mean, it just shows how little points you get, doesn't it, for finishing 8th, 9th and 10th. Of course, only single digits, low single digits, because... I feel like Lawson and Lindblad are finishing the points quite a lot in between them this season already, and they've only got 35 points. So yeah, obviously lost some points due to Gasly getting promoted back up to P3, so they dropped down an extra position to 6th and 7th in Monaco rather than 5th and 6th. Haas, good start for them, but they're now struggling, aren't they? Williams have really, I think you'd say, due to Carlos Sainz doing some wondrous work in that overweight Williams, 11 points for them. Audi have 2 points, and Aston Martin have 1 solitary point after Alonso finished P10 in Monaco. And Cadillac, well, they were going to score their first point, but Perez got that penalty, didn't he? So there we go. There we go. Risk of rain, 0%. Risk of debris, 99%. I think so. I think we're going to see some collisions here today. It's a racy circuit. There's opportunities for overtakes. We are going to see lots of tyre deg. It's going to be interesting. Track is looking very hot. It could suit the McLarens. I don't think it will. By the sounding. Let me start that sentence again. By hearing what Lando Norris was saying in quali yesterday, or post-quali, he was very, very downbeat. And I think... Obviously, Lando's downbeat in general about this season. He's hardly completed any races and hardly done any laps. But, yeah, he's been very short in his interviews, and I think there needs to be some misfortune up ahead, really, for McLaren to capitalise here. Both Mercedes making contact would be good. Well, look, I've got a suspicion. I've just got a suspicion that Lewis might come out of the first corner in 3rd place. I think Russell and Hamilton were getting a pretty equal start. Russell seems to have a good start, and that will just allow... That won't be enough for Hamilton to probably slot in behind Russell. And Antonelli will get the slipstream from George ahead, and he will swoop around at least the outside of Lewis Hamilton, and I think Hamilton will be a bit of a sitting duck, because George will defend the inside, as he should, because all the power belongs to the inside car. Head of the apex rule still exists, of course, and I think George will lead out of turn 1, and Hamilton will probably come out in 3rd. But we'll see. That doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity for Lewis, but it shapes up well for an entertaining battle with Russell and Antonelli, doesn't it? Because I think we could get a repeat of Canada. Lewis forces Russell across the escape road, no, and rejoin turn 3, your prediction. Look, that's just my prediction. It could be way off the mark. George could bog down. Russell could steam past him. Hamilton could steam past Russell down into the first corner. But just because you lead into the first corner here doesn't mean you're going to win the race. It's a very, very long and hot 66 laps here today at Barcelona. 50.4 degrees is the track temperature. That is, I hate to sound like a broken record, but yeah, that's going to hurt those tyres. And tyre management is going to be key here. Will the car tracker graphic work this week? I hope so. I hope so. It seems to be okay thus far. We'll soon find out on the formation lap. Trust you, it is just that Max on turn 1 will be P3, bro. It's long straight, and we know Max is all in. Yeah, but Red Bull hasn't had the best starts, has it? And recently, Max hasn't even been able to start the race, which was Monaco. But very soon, we will get the tyre blankets off, guys, and we'll be able to find out whether who has decided what tyre to start on. I think we may see someone starting the hards and gamble on track position. But I think starting on a hard compound tyre just... Yeah, as I said, if that early safety car comes out, then if you've only got one hard compound tyre to use... Well, most of them have got 2 hard compound tyres to use. But still, you're throwing away a hard compound tyre quite early because you'll want to pit under the safety car because it is such an advantage of pitting 10.5 seconds under yellow conditions than it is under green flag. My podium prediction, I'm still sticking with what my predictions were at the start of the week, which was Russell first, Antonelli second, and Hamilton third. I just think I'm sticking with that. I still think that my brain, my heart's obviously wants Lewis Hamilton, but my brain says that Mercedes still have the performance advantage over a race distance. So Hamilton is currently your favourite to win the race. 49% of you think he's going to win the race. 23% think Russell. 24% think Kimi. So Kimi has overtaken Russell since we started this stream. And Norris, 4% of you think Norris. Main overtaking spot with boost will probably be down into turn 1. That's always the primary overtaking spot. We do see moves down into turn 10. We have seen some moves into turn 7 as well. But normally it's down into turn 1. Sometimes if someone has a bit of a wiggle out of turn 2, if your tyres are struggling, turn 3 is a very, very tricky corner for you. And if someone has to let off throttle, which we saw in like F2 earlier, then if you've got that extra level of grip, then you will be able to swoop around the outside. Thank you, Josh. Much appreciated. Morning from Boston. Can we have a chat about Aston Martin? Will Lawrence Stroll sell? Can they afford to continue like this? Well, he can afford to continue because he's a billionaire. He has a lot more spare change than all of us put together in this chat. Unless he's tuning in or there is a billionaire in this chat right now. But yeah, he's going to stay at that team for quite some time, I think, Lawrence Stroll. I don't think he has any intention of leaving. I think the rumours are exactly just that. Whenever you hear rumblings of them potentially selling up or Lawrence Stroll leaving, I think they're just exactly that. I think they're baseless rumours. There's been no indication to suggest he is giving up that team anytime soon. Alonso still in the pitch. Yes, he is in the pit lane. He'll be starting from the pit lane. Look, he was starting dead last. They've made significant changes to the car. I don't think that's going to help his chances here today. But there are rumours. That Alpine haven't refuted. But he could go back to Alpine, Fernando Alonso. Yes, back to Alpine again. He could be Fernando Alonso next year. Obviously, time isn't on his side. So he will go where the wind takes him, I guess, or wherever Flavio Briatore wants to take him. I made that hour disappear. It was like 3 minutes. Well, that's what we try and do here. That's why we go live an hour before. There's lots to discuss. Taco, I know. F1 is starting the same time that the last hour of F1 is. Oh! Sorry, of Le Mans. Right. Hamilton's on softs. What am I witnessing? I didn't think we'd see the softs at all. Oh, this is bold. Oh, I'm not sure I agree with it. Oh, I don't know. I mean, look, Lewis and Max are on softs. They're a lot more well-versed and I mean, they've got 11 world championships between them, right? A 7 world champion and a 4-time world champion are starting on soft compound tyres. Who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? But, I mean, this just shows the intention of Lewis wanting to get a good launch off the line, maximise his grip, and lead into turn 1. Maybe he feels bold. Maybe he feels bold and feels like he can control this race today from the front with the tyre management. But I'm surprised we're seeing the softs. Hulkenberg's on the softs, Colapinto, Sainz, Ocon. Only Perez, Stroll, and Alonso starting in the bottom 4 are on the hard compound tyre and gambling that hard compound tyre. That's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Bold. Very bold. Well, we only have 3 minutes to find out. Well, probably around 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes to find out how that will pay off for Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Longest run on the calendar down to turn 1 at the start of a race. And, well, where will they come out in? Will they be 2nd and 5th where they started, or will they gain positions? Time will tell. Hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Time for a quick loo break before we head into this formation lap at the Barcelona Grand Prix. And I'm just going to quickly think about those tyre selections for the start of this race. So I think by Lewis starting on the softs, I think that must be confidence that the soft, hard is the strategy of choice. Or soft, medium, hard. And that he's comfortable in the fact of that he'll be able to take whatever tyres are left in either using the medium or the 2 hards that he has available to go kind of to manage them throughout the race. I was just thinking of it because Max only has 1 set of hards available, so he's going to be going soft, medium maybe, or soft, medium, hard. I guess it depends how durable these medium compound tyres are, really. Maybe they see the hard compound tyre as actually not being that good. And if you start on the mediums, then you have to use then you have to use 2 sets of hards. I mean, they could use the softs at the end, of course. There is that potential. We don't have to use 2 sets of hards, but we'll see. But moments away, guys, moments away from this formation lap starting here at Barcelona. Interesting circumstances here as Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen starting on the soft compound tyre in P2 and P5 at a circuit which is 50 plus degrees track temperature right now, and a circuit where tyre degradation and tyre management is going to be key in how this race is won or lost today. So let's see how it is going to unfold. Formation lap about to begin as the timer has counted down here. Thank you for tuning in and choosing my watch along. And yes, the track map works. The track map works. And I'm ending the poll for today of who you think is going to win the Barcelona Grand Prix. 48% of the vote goes to Lewis Hamilton. 24% is George Russell. Kimi Antonelli, 24%. So matching, equal playing field there for Russell and Kimi, 24%. And Norris languishing at the back with 4%. So let's see what it has in store for us today. I'm so intrigued in how this race is going to play out. Strategy, the first race of the year where we are going to see strategy really play a factor. Every single race thus far has been as easy too easy of a one-stop. Today, we have degradation, multiple pit stops, varying strategies being utilised, as you can see from those starting on the softs and the mediums, and some even on the hards, as it seems Perez has now switched to a soft compound tyre. But let's run you through your starting grid for the Barcelona Grand Prix. George Russell starts on pole position. What a pole position it was, and a well-needed one. He needs to score at least some points today. Frazan, thank you for rejoining the pit crew. Hamilton starts P2, an unlikely P2. I don't think any of us expected the Ferrari to be faring well here, let alone split the Mercedes, and Hamilton nearly snatched pole position away from George Russell. He starts on the softs. So intrigued by that starting tyre today. Kimi DNF starts P3. He is your championship leader by 66 points. What will his championship lead be come the end of this 66-lap race? Lando Norris starts P4 on the second row. Max Verstappen also on the softs in P5. Isaac Hadjar 6th with Piastri P7. Liam Lawson continuing a good run of form in that V-carb is in P8 with Nico Hulkenberg in his first Q3 qualification for this year. Will that Audi last long enough to finish the race and score his first points of the season? Charles Leclerc crashed out at his first attempt in Q3 yesterday. He's in a pace seat Ferrari. Let's see how much progression he can make today, starting in P10. Arvid Lindblad starts in P11. Gabriel Bortoletto is 12th. Colapinto and Gasly are in 13th and 14th. Split strategy for the two Alpine drivers. Colapinto on softs, Gasly on mediums. Behrman is starting 15th. Sainz is 16th. Ocon 17th. Albon 18th. Perez 19th. Bottas 20th. Split strategy for them as well in the caddies. And then Stroll and Alonso are starting on the hard compound tyre. It's going to be a long day for Aston Martin, you do presume. Drivers making their way round to their grid positions. They are lined up here. George Russell at the front, waiting for the field to get into their positions. Fernando Alonso will be starting from the pit lane. As you can see there, confirmation. Broke Parc Ferme. Why not? Because that performance yesterday was not very good at all, and he would be starting dead last anyway. So, drivers making their way, waiting for Sergio Perez, Valtteri Bottas, and Lance Stroll. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And, well, they are lined up at the back here. Lance Stroll. That's the pre-start procedure. And I think I've gone too early again. This start procedure, unbelievable. But we are green light. Away we go here for the Barcelona Grand Prix at the longest run on the F1 calendar. Who has got a good launch here? George Russell seems to have had a decent launch, but will we lead down into turn one? Lewis Hamilton on the soft compound tyres. Has the bold strategy paid off? It doesn't seem to, as George Russell makes a great start and leads down into turn one. Only Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen stay where they are. And well, movement there of Charles Leclerc up into 7th place already. A great start for the Ferrari driver. He's already on the back of Oscar Piastri as Lindblad trades position with Nico Hulkenberg. The slow starting Audi, which we have always seen this year, is behind his teammate already in 8th and 9th. V-carb in double point scoring position already. Isaac Hadjar, a terrible start from him. He's down 8 positions, 9 positions, Isaac Hadjar. Waited to see a replay of this race start to see exactly what happened to him. Has he picked up damage? Surely not, Isaac Hadjar. Or has he had to take to the escape road and just has too much dirt? Watching the race start here, George Russell nailed the start, and so did Lewis Hamilton, so did Antonelli, so did Lando Norris. And to be honest with you, they need to now, I think, review that race start procedure, because everyone seems to be on top of the race start here, as I haven't seen a replay of exactly what happened with Isaac Hadjar. But as George Russell rounds the last corner for the first time here, overtake mode is enabled. It is George Russell leading from Lewis Hamilton, from Kimi Antonelli in 3rd. Lando Norris is 4th with Max Verstappen in 5th. That soft compound tyre start did not benefit Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen at all with that extra grip. But we'll see how this very long race unfolds, with strategy playing an important part today. Piastri is up a place into P7. Charles Leclerc is up 3 places with a good launch for that pacey Ferrari. Who knows where he could have qualified yesterday if he didn't crash out in Q1. He will have the grip between his teeth today to try and claw back a result that he feel was lost in qualifying. Liam Lawson is P8, Arvid Lindblad in P9, and Hulkenberg is in P10. Good start for Colapinto and Gasly as well, up 2 places. And Hulkenberg has just got past Arvid Lindblad there. So Hulkenberg on the soft compound tyre. Extra level of grip showing there on the soft compound tyre. And he has just got past Arvid Lindblad, who have his sights set on Liam Lawson, looking to score his first points of the season. As George Russell is now pulling out a 1.6 second gap over Lewis Hamilton. Antonelli struggling to stay in the rear wing of the 1 second range of Lewis Hamilton for that overtake mode. Out of Isaac Hadjar, I don't think has damage. Yet to see a replay of exactly what occurred with Hadjar. He is going, and he is in P14. The biggest loser here, down 8 positions, as is Gabriel Bortoleto, down 5 places. So Audi, slow starters again. Hulkenberg did lose a couple of positions, but he's regained them. And Bortoleto on the medium compound tyre, not faring as well. So we could already see a little bit of a gap between Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. 1.4 seconds is the gap. 21.5 for Russell. 21.7. Russell will be wanting to pull out a gap or manage a gap to Lewis so that he is not in that overtake mode range, but it's a very long race today. Don't want to go too quick too early to ensure that you look after those tyres and don't shred them to pieces, which we have seen here this weekend in all Formula Series, as Hadjar makes up a position there on Carlos Sainz. Turn 1 incident involving Hulkenberg leaving the track and gaining an advantage has been noted, so not sure what happened there. So looking at Isaac Hadjar's car, it is intact. So maybe Hadjar just had a bog down at the start, something akin to what we've seen from Max Verstappen and the Red Bull in the early rounds of this season. That is probably a potential as to why he is down so many positions. Arvid Lindblad has also been noted for leaving the track and gaining an advantage as well at turn 1. So a few drivers maybe being forced off, but Oscar Piastri looking to try and get on top of Max Verstappen, as the top 4 drivers have a pretty equal gap between them, as George Russell is pulling out quite a sizable gap to Lewis Hamilton, 2 seconds, nearly 1.9 seconds. As Lewis is on the soft compound tyre. Kimi Antonelli, 1.2 seconds behind Hamilton. Norris, 1.2 seconds. Verstappen, 1.4 seconds. And Piastri and Leclerc are within the overtake mode range of the Red Bull ahead and the McLaren. Liam Lawson, a bit of a train forming there, as of course there is kind of 2 formulas at the moment in Formula 1, isn't there really? A Formula A and a Formula B. The top 4 teams and then the rest of the field. Liam Lawson leads that Formula B at the moment, as he is in P8, 3 seconds ahead of behind Charles Leclerc, and looking to hold off Hulkenberg, but probably for not much longer, as Hulkenberg, who is being investigated for leaving the track and gaining an advantage, he is looking to capitalise on Lawson being on the medium and him being on the much quicker soft compound tyre. But not as long lasting as the medium. Just because you get overtaken here doesn't mean that your race is over and done with. Very, very long way to go here. But Russell, 2.4 seconds is the gap to Lewis Hamilton, a 21.4 last time around, well, nearly a 21.5. Hamilton, a 22.0. Antonelli, a 22.1. And, well, this is going to be a race of attrition. I'd be interested to see if anyone really goes on the attack in the early stages of this race. They'll probably, if they feel like they're going to be losing too much ground to the drivers ahead, to the likes of Piastri and Leclerc, if they feel like they're going to just fall off of the back of the likes of Antonelli and Hamilton, Leclerc in particular, I feel like he'll be wanting to dispatch Piastri and Verstappen as quick as he can, as Norris falling behind Antonelli there, 1.7 seconds. And Antonelli just now within the range of Lewis Hamilton, 0.6 of a second. And you can see there, look at that slipstream in overtake mode. Wow, almost half a second gain there just from that start-finish straight alone. So Antonelli now starting to apply the pressure to Lewis Hamilton. 2.5 seconds is the gap to Lewis and George Russell. In clean air, we know that Mercedes, just like we saw in Monaco, is absolutely a machine. But can George Russell look after those tyres? Is he going too quick too soon? 22-point flat. He's the quickest driver out there. And is this maybe taking too much tyres out? Of course, 23 seconds is the gap that is we're going to be looking at for these drivers to find a pit stop window. As Antonelli, did he just lose a bit of time there into turn 7? I think he has. Yes, Antonelli maybe gone a bit deep into turn 10 there, as watching the race restart. And yeah, Isaac Hadjar had a clear deployment issue at the start of the race and just got absolutely swamped. Not entirely sure what happened there with Isaac Hadjar, but yeah, Isaac Hadjar just, he did get away okay, but then in the second phase, the car just had no I don't know, no power at all by the looks of it. As, oh my goodness, Charles Leclerc nearly took out Isaac Hadjar. Very, very close there. So yes, Isaac Hadjar had a very slow getaway, and that is why he is down 7 places into P13. So Charles Leclerc on the attack right now of Oscar Piastri. He is well under the rear wing of the McLaren and the Australian ahead of him, but is he going to have enough down into turn 1? He's going to go late on the brakes. They're nearly side by side, and Oscar Piastri fends off Charles for now. And importantly, what Leclerc has done is that he has kind of removed Oscar Piastri from the overtake mode of Max Verstappen. But will Charles be able to stay close with Oscar and have enough recharge available to utilise that overtake mode again when they come around to turn 14? As Hadjar makes another ground up on Pierre Gasly, he's now up into 12th place, only 6 places down from where he initially started, as Lawson is all under pressure from Nico Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg trying to go around Liam Lawson through turn 5 and into turn 7. He really needs to get past him, Nico Hulkenberg, here as he's on the soft compound tyre. Because Lawson, who is a good defender, is going to want to hold up Hulkenberg as much as he can without sacrificing his own race pace. These two starting to put away from Arvid Lindblad, who is 1.8 seconds behind Hulkenberg. But Hulkenberg just not able to, in that pacey Audi, he's a decent car here this weekend, unable to get past the good performing V car that we've seen in the first 6 rounds of this season. So, George Russell, 2.8 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton now, who's on those soft compound tyres. I'm intrigued to see how long Lewis is going to go on these soft compound tyres. I think the Pirelli prediction was around 10 to 15 laps on the softs, which is a tall order, really, when the softs haven't lasted very well this year and when they are on a full tank of fuel as well. Kimi Antonelli is 1.3 seconds behind Lewis already on the medium compound tyre. He's probably just thinking about tyre management right now and also thinking about the overall championship standings. If it was to finish as they are, George Russell would gain 25 points and Antonelli would only gain 15. So there'd be a 10-point advantage for George Russell gained back on Kimi Antonelli. That still would leave him with a 58-point lead. So nothing really to be thought about here or be too aggressive on right now, as Lawson still holding off Nico Hulkenberg, as Hadjar on the second lap in a row dispatches another Alpine of Franco Colapinto this time around. As Franco Colapinto, though, it looks like he went to try and overtake Hadjar there down into turn 7, but maybe that was just a delay in the track map there. But Lindblad holding will be looking in his rearview mirrors, and we'll have Isaac Hadjar approaching him very closely. Oscar Piastri still fending off Charles Leclerc and still stand on the back of Max Verstappen. As watching a replay, and Charles Leclerc nearly went into the back of Oscar Piastri. But here we go. A lot closer this time around as he comes out the exit of turn 14. Here comes Charles Leclerc. Is he going to have enough here? Overtake mode probably enabled. And he's getting closer, closer, closer. Oscar Piastri is going to defend to the inside, but Charles in that Ferrari just not able to gain ground on that McLaren Mercedes powered McLaren. And, well, Charles Leclerc, though, he's trying to utilise the extra grip that he's got. He's displaced Oscar Piastri out of position through turn 2 and turn 3. And Charles Leclerc through turn 4 takes through turn 3 and turn 4, takes the position from Oscar Piastri. Great racing. Oscar defended the inside. That left him out of position as Charles was on the optimum racing line, and he carried so much more speed, swooped around the outside of turn 3 and dispatched Oscar Piastri. He will now have his sights set on Max Verstappen, who is 1.7 seconds up the road. A fastest first sector for Charles Leclerc there, understandably, with the assistance of the slipstream of Oscar Piastri and the overtake mode. But will Oscar be able to come back at Charles Leclerc? Probably not, as he's already lost the 1 second advantage from Charles Leclerc up ahead. Remember, you have to be within that 1 second range to be able to utilise that overtake mode and be within 1 second of that detection mode, which they have just passed right now. So Oscar Piastri unable to come straight back at Charles Leclerc here, as Charles is looking to close the gap and is closing the gap on Max Verstappen. That gap already down to 1.4 seconds on the Red Bull driver ahead. Update up front, Russell on the medium compound tyre is 3.1 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who is on the soft compound tyre, and Antonelli dropping back undoubtedly to the undoubtedly dropping back to a decent distance to manage his tyres, a decent window of clean air. So he's 1.9 seconds back. A very long race today, of course. 66 laps here at Barcelona, which is currently at 50 degrees track temperature. So drivers are not going to be full push on for 100% of the time at this circuit. Multiple stops on offer today, and that provides us a real intriguing race when it comes to strategy and these drivers' ability to manage the tyres, something we haven't seen throughout this season thus far, with every race being an easy and comfortable one stop. One thing is for sure, though, is that there is definitely 2 races happening at the moment out there. We have the top 4 teams in Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, and McLaren. Of course, not quite the top 8 drivers in those teams, as Isaac Hadjar had a very poor start. He had an issue with the Red Bull start procedure, and he bogged down and he was swamped. But he's looking to regain that position and join them at the back of the field. Or Oscar Piastri really struggling here, by the way. Oscar Piastri in 7th. He's 2.5 seconds back from Charles Leclerc, as Charles is nearly within that 1 second range of the overtake mode. Charles is moving at a rate of knots right now, trying to gain an extra position of the 4 that he's already gained at the start of this race. Started from 10th place after crashing out in Q1, of course, and he, in just 2 laps, has gained 7/10 of a second on Max Verstappen, who is on the soft compound tyre, though. So Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton going for a different strategy choice today compared to those in the top 10. Well, not necessarily in the top 10, because Hulkenberg's also on the softs, but of those drivers ahead. As Norris is asked, how is the pace and how are the tyres? And Norris said, yeah, sliding a bit, as he is in P4, 2.3 seconds behind Antonelli, who is losing a bit of time to Lewis Hamilton as well, as Isaac Hadjar does get past Arvid Lindblad and is up into P10. And I wonder if that was a comfortable overtake for Hadjar on Lindblad, because Lindblad, as we've seen this season already, is not one to shy away from defending from the bigger brother team. So Alex Albon noted for starting procedure infringement. That'd be a shame for him. He is down in 18th right now, and Williams really struggling this weekend. Also, an incident involving Ocon and Bortoletto noted for forcing another driver off the track, and I think Behrman was noted for forcing Hadjar off of the track as well. So a few investigations for the stewards right now, but back to the action, as Charles Leclerc is half a second behind Max Verstappen. Will he have enough this time to get down into turn 1 ahead of Max Verstappen? Will he try and position him out of the racing line, just as he did with Oscar Piastri, and swoop around turn 3? Not this time around. If it is to be believed, of course, the reports are that the Red Bull powertrain is the best and most powerful powertrain on the grid, and well, that is definitely going to come in use and handy down that very long start-finish straight out of turn 14 down into turn 1. So Charles will just have to wait patiently a little bit more. And Max Verstappen on those soft compound tyres. 13 laps they've done. Used softs as well. No brand new sets available to use for Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen. And he'll be probably just looking in his rearview mirrors, and he won't fight. Yes, this is Max Verstappen, but he has a race ahead of him. This is a very long race ahead. He probably won't fight Leclerc too hard. He will just be thinking about his overall race and think about beating him later on. So George Russell 3.4 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Kimi 2.2 seconds behind Hamilton. So he's managing a gap at the moment, and the gap, so you can see there the lap times, Russell and Hamilton lapping around the same. George Russell was actually 2/10 slower than Lewis last time around. Lewis is in the pits. Lewis Hamilton pits on lap 12 on the off of the soft compound tyre. 23 seconds was the gap. Where is he going to come out? Is there a window here for him? You do presume there is, as Liam Lawson already track surface slippery through turn 12. So has there been contact? Liam Lawson also pits as well. He's off the mediums. So we've seen Liam Lawson pit off of the mediums. Lewis Hamilton here. Is he going to be able to stay out ahead of Nico Hulkenberg? Very close for Ferrari and Nico Hulkenberg as they head down into turn 1. And that is a great pit stop for Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Yes, I have used those words in a single sentence when describing a pit stop for Hamilton and Ferrari. 2.5 seconds was the stop, and importantly, if that was just a couple attempts more, Lewis Hamilton would have come out behind Nico Hulkenberg, who is on the soft compound tyre, and Hamilton is now on the hard compound tyre. And I do presume, depending on how long this hard compound tyre lasts, he leaves himself open to use the medium compound tyre at the end or another set of hard compound tyres. So, George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, those who are in front of Lewis Hamilton will be eagerly keeping an eye on the pit wall on Lewis Hamilton's lap times and sector times right now, as he is the first driver to be out on the hard compound tyre. As Russell responds, Mercedes respond to Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Interesting, very interesting. Kimi Antonelli now leaves the Barcelona Grand Prix, and I thought they might extend this, but George Russell, who was on the mediums as Lewis Hamilton, could he do an undercut here? As Lewis Hamilton, he's full throttle as he's coming down the start-finish straight. Mercedes seem to have done a decent pit stop for George Russell, as Lewis Hamilton will be braking hard, late as he did yesterday in that qualifying lap, which left him 6/10 of a second, 6/10 of a second off of George Russell's lap time, and 6/100 of a second off of George Russell's lap time, and George Russell stays ahead of Lewis Hamilton, but that gap now down to 1.5 seconds on the same tyre now, and Lewis Hamilton has a set of tyres that are a lap older, but a lap warmer. Not that they need much warming up here on a 50-degree track temperature. Lots of pit stops here at around lap 12, lap 13. We can see that Max Verstappen also pitted. He is on the medium compound tyres, and he came out importantly ahead of Arvid Lindblad. So it's 2 pit stop race here today. That is a bit earlier than I presumed they were going to. But Mercedes have responded to the undercut of Lewis Hamilton. Let's see if Kimi Antonelli is going to stay out there. No, Kimi Antonelli on a different strategy. He's going to go long. So Kimi Antonelli not responding to the pit of Lewis Hamilton as Lando Norris comes in. So Antonelli doing something different here. Charles Leclerc doing something different as well. He's staying out longer on the medium compound tyres. We'll see what Kimi Antonelli's pace will be relative to those behind. And of course, Lewis Hamilton on the hard. A 21.4 for Lewis Hamilton on fresh hard compound tyres. But that gap is still 1.5 seconds to George Russell. So George Russell, did he feel that his tyres were maybe just falling off a little bit too much? The race today, maybe they do presume, is with Lewis Hamilton. Of course it is with Antonelli as well, but Antonelli trying something maybe a little bit differently, staying out there. Why go like for like? I get that. Hulkenberg also in the pit lane as well. Esteban Ocon in the pit lane. So they're seeing gaps out there. Some of these teams, we're seeing some of them go long, some of them pitting earlier, and it's going to be interesting how these strategies eventually converge around the second time around, the second pit stop, which they will eventually be making in probably around 30 laps or so, 25 laps or so. Max Verstappen, fastest first sector on the medium compound tyre, and he's right behind his teammate, and undoubtedly Hadjar will be letting Verstappen through down into turn 7, and yes, he is, but Hadjar on a different strategy, and Hadjar, of course, who bogged down at the start of this race due to that issue with Red Bull, which we've seen at the start of races too often, is now in P8 as Antonelli pits. Okay, Antonelli pits. So let's see where Antonelli's going to come out here as Charles Leclerc stays out. And yes, you're hearing this correctly. Charles Leclerc leads the Barcelona Grand Prix. Oh, imagine there's a safety car right now. Charles Leclerc is leading the Barcelona Grand Prix. Antonelli will rejoin out behind Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, as Hamilton is 1.8 seconds behind George Russell. Antonelli is fighting Lando Norris down into turn 1. Will Lando Norris be able to get ahead of Antonelli into turn 1? No. Good pit stop from Mercedes there, and Antonelli stays out ahead of Lando Norris. So they really responded there to the undercut of Lando Norris, it seems, as Piastri has been overtaken by Arvid Lindblad. As Russell says, I was managing in that first stint. You could have given me the heads up. I don't think it's going to be long for everyone. I need an update on the plan. Then are you moving to a 3, you think? Still on plan here, George. So Russell thinks he had more tyre to use. He was managing, and that he could have gone quicker and built out a bit more of a gap. And he's talking about the lack of communication from his team, but they're saying they're still on plan. We will see. Surely George isn't going to be let down by the Mercedes team again, is he? Surely he's not going to be let down by the Mercedes team again. But guys, if you've been enjoying the stream, as Piastri gets past Arvid Lindblad very quickly there, so that was needed by Oscar Piastri as well. It does seem like his race is gone awry already. Started P7, he's down in P8. Hadjar is ahead of him, but Hadjar has yet to make a pit stop, as is Charles Leclerc. But Piastri's race and weekend isn't going as well as maybe it looked like it could have started out. So, an update, Charles Leclerc is first, 4 seconds ahead of George Russell, still yet to make a pit stop. Hamilton third, he is 1.7 seconds, as there is a starting procedure infringement for Carlos Sainz as well. both Albon and Sainz under investigation for a starting procedure infringement. Albon's will be investigated after the race, as Piastri now ahead of Isaac Hadjar as Hadjar dives into the pits as well. So we, other than Charles Leclerc, in the top 7 are as we were. Charles looking to extend here. He is being caught, though, by Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, who are doing almost 2 seconds a lap quicker than that. Or actually, they are going 2 seconds a lap quicker than Charles Leclerc, who did a 24.0 last time around, and Russell and Hamilton did a 21.9. Leclerc making his own strategy on the radio, it seems. So he is doing his own thing as Bortoletto's into the pit lane. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. By the way, 17,000 of you here for this Barcelona Grand Prix. We are 16 laps into this race. 51 laps remaining. Hit the like and subscribe button. Get to 1,000 likes. It'd be much appreciated. And, of course, trying to hit 100,000 subscribers as well. So we'll be back for the Austrian Grand Prix, which will be in a few weeks' time, with a double header at the Red Bull Ring, and then swiftly on to Silverstone, which is a sprint race weekend. So, Charles Leclerc into the pit lane now, and that pushes George Russell back into first place. Lewis Hamilton is in P2. Charles Leclerc, before we ever run through the grid, after everyone, but well, really everyone other than Alonso, Lindblad, and Behrman have made pit stops. Let's see where Charles Leclerc is going to come out. Is he going to come out ahead of Oscar Piastri? That is what he'll be looking to do, is try and stay ahead of the McLaren of Piastri, who did get held up on his outlap behind Arvid Lindblad. And, well, Charles Leclerc is into the first corner, out of the pit lane into P6, and, well, he does have a gap to chase back to Max Verstappen. Lost quite a bit of time on those mediums that he stayed out on, but Verstappen is on mediums and Leclerc is on hards now. So a bit of varying strategy in the top 10, with Lindblad still yet to pit and Behrman still yet to pit. Verstappen is the only driver on the mediums in the top 7. So George Russell leads by 1.7 seconds to Lewis Hamilton, lapping identical lap times at the moment, 22.1 for both George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, former Mercedes teammates. Kimi Antonelli stayed out a few extra laps on those medium compound tyres and did lose quite a whole heap of time. He is on the hard compound tyre, and he will have 3 laps fresher tyres than that of Lewis Hamilton, and 2 laps fresher than George Russell. Did do a green lap there. He's best of the race, 22.0, as George Russell does a 21.7 and Lewis Hamilton does a 22.0. So George just made up 2.5 tenths there on Lewis Hamilton in that last lap. Very long way still to go in this race, of course. Kimi Antonelli did a 21.9, so he gained a tenth on Lewis. Lando Norris is 1.5 seconds behind Kimi Antonelli in his McLaren, a 21.9 for him on the hards. Max Verstappen, 22.3, so he is not able to gain at the moment. 3.6 seconds behind Norris, and around 4.5 seconds behind, or 5 seconds behind Kimi Antonelli. Charles Leclerc on his brand new set of hards as Isaac Hadjar dispatches Ollie Behrman and is back up into 9th, nearly a few places away from where he did start this race. Poor race start for him with that issue with the starting procedure. Just bogged down, as we've seen so often with the Red Bulls this year, and he got absolutely swamped down into turn 1. Was down into 15th place at one point, if my memory serves me correctly. Fernando Alonso. Oh, we've had Bottas and Stroll retire. I didn't even realise that. Did Bottas even do any laps? Bottas retired. We've got Stroll retired. Breaking that record of 42-0 to 42-1. It's meant absolutely nothing, isn't it, when it comes to the race? So Bottas, another retirement for Bottas. And, well, another retirement for Aston Martin. Maybe Stroll just wanted to go and enjoy a nice sangria, to be honest, and racing 66 laps here at a very hot and sweltering Barcelona. I can't blame him, to be perfectly honest with you. But his teammate's faring much better, as he is up into 17th place. Still yet to pit, though. And he just has been overtaken by Gabriel Bortoletto at his home circuit. Of course, Fernando Alonso, potentially the last time he's going to be racing here, as Barcelona then goes on to rotation in a couple of, from next year with Spa. As Liam Lawson gets past Ollie Behrman, who is still yet to pit as well, going very long in this race. Ollie Behrman, as is Arvid Lindblad, going long, as is Fernando Alonso on the hard compound tyre. Lewis Hamilton, update, as Behrman now, going very long. He is now pitting, but a lot longer than everyone else, as he did 18 laps on those medium compound tyres. So, update at the front. George Russell is did a 22.1 last time around, and he leads by 2 seconds over Lewis Hamilton on the same set of tyre now on the hards. He did start on the softs, Lewis, but it didn't seem that soft compound tyre really worked. but it means that he hasn't used his medium at the end of the race. We'll see. That second stint's going to be interesting because I think Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton in particular, will be going onto that faster medium compound tyre at the end, whereas Russell will not have another set of mediums to use. He'll have only softs or a brand new set of hards. That's going to be intriguing. We could see an aggressive Lewis Hamilton in the second stint. Kimi Antonelli is on the hard compound tyre. He has 3 laps fresher old hard compound tyres to Lewis Hamilton, and he is using those tyres as well, Kimi Antonelli. He is trying to build a gap to Lando Norris and close that gap to Lewis Hamilton. But is he going too quick too soon? Chewing up, going half a second quicker than George Russell and Lewis Hamilton are clearly managing right now. We will see. And he's just set a fastest first sector, Kimi Antonelli. Maybe this man, this 19-year-old man, knows nothing else but then go quick. Lando Norris is 2.3 seconds behind Antonelli as that gap is starting to increase. Verstappen on the medium compound tyre here. He is 4.6 seconds behind Lando Norris and a couple attempts slower per lap as it stands. So the medium compound tyre maybe at this middle stint isn't so good, but does have a hard set of compound tyres to use in the second stint, and another set of mediums, actually. The only driver to have, other than the 2 harsh drivers, but the only driver in the top 7 or in the top 4 teams to have an extra set of mediums to utilise today. So, as we run through the grid, Charles Leclerc is P6. He is gaining on Max Verstappen, but he is 6.9 seconds behind. He did gain 6 tenths on that last lap on the hard compound tyre, but still has that 7-second gap to Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri is 2.3 seconds behind in P7 as Fernando Alonso gets overtaken by Sergio Perez. Fernando Alonso has been overtaken by Sergio Perez. Oh, it's a shame for Fernando Alonso. And now Alonso is dead last. He's been overtaken in the space of 1 corner by Sergio Perez and Ollie Behrman. As Colapinto has been told, this is instruction, we need to switch cars into turn 1. Now turn 4. And that has happened. That has happened. So Gasly and Colapinto have swapped positions. Interesting. Colapinto not too happy on the radio. Currently P12 and P13, but maybe they have seen the data that Gasly is much quicker than Colapinto. We will see how this unfolds. He has now been released to chase down Nico Hulkenberg and Liam Lawson, who are fighting for that last point scoring position. Nico Hulkenberg in that dreaded P11 that he should get tattooed on his backside, I think, come the end of the season. That's how often he has seen that P11. But Arvid Imblad is still yet to make a pit stop. He has done 20 laps on the mediums in P9. Hadjar has just got back past Arvid Imblad, which he did earlier on, and he is now into P8 and is 19 seconds behind Oscar Piastri. So 23 seconds is the pit stop lost time here, guys. That is the gap that the drivers will be looking at for their second pit stop. George Russell currently has a 23.5 second gap to Oscar Piastri. So nearly has a clean pit stop gap to Oscar Piastri. A comfortable pit stop gap to Isaac Hadjar, who's in P8. So when it comes to the second stint, it is more so just about them maximising their pit stop time, more so than it is just like the gap out on track, which they currently have. So Antonelli pushing, by the way. Antonelli consistently pushing here. 4 seconds to the gap. Green sector after green sector for Kimi Antonelli as he is looking to close up that gap to the front 2. But is he chewing up too much tyre? That will be the question right now. George Russell is 22.5 seconds last time around, and Hamilton did a 22.7. As Antonelli is asked, happy with pushing, A firm Kimi, good lap time. So this is by design. The team are happy, Bono reports, with Kimi Antonelli pushing right now. Maybe this is because they have the hard compound tyre to use in the second stint, and there's no point dragging this out. And whereas George Russell is managing somewhat, and so is Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Antonelli is on full push mode right now to use up that hard compound tyre, so that because they know he has to go onto the hard compound on his second stint. He may use the soft compound tyre as Alonso finally pits on the last drive. Actually, Limblad's the last driver to pit now as he's still on 21 lap old medium compound tyres in P9, but Antonelli is closing the gap to Hamilton. So, bit of a tyre offset for him. 8 laps old are his hard compound tyres, Antonelli? 3 laps younger than Lewis Hamilton and 2 laps younger than his teammate. But yes, maybe they just push the tyre and they're knowing that they're going to go on the hard compound tyre, and that's going to last at the end of the race, whereas Hamilton has to manage a bit more because he's going on to the mediums, and maybe George Russell is doing something different as well. Ooh, they left Leclerc out to see how long the medium will last. Yes, potentially, but the medium will last longer the later the race goes on, because you'll be on less fuel. So the car is lighter, which means the amount of energy put through the tyres is less because the car is lighter and doesn't weigh as much. Nico Hulkenberg still stuck behind Liam Lawson, by the way. Couldn't get past Liam Lawson on the soft compound tyre, and he's still unable to get past him on 2-lap fresher hard compound tyres as well. As Arvid Lindblad makes his first pit stop of the race, 22-lap old mediums, and well, he rejoins in 16th place on a set of hard compound tyres. A significant tyre offset to everyone ahead of him. So we'll see how much of a benefit that is for Arvid Lindblad. And now everyone has made their first pit stop of the race. We are going to see a second pit stop. When we will see that second pit stop, we have 43 laps remaining here. It is George Russell leading by 2.2 seconds from Lewis Hamilton. Antonelli is closing that gap up on Lewis Hamilton, 2.6 seconds. He is half a second quicker than Lewis Hamilton last time around consistently, and he was nearly 8 tenths quicker than George Russell, who is getting through some lap traffic. And Lando Norris is P4. He's 2.4 seconds behind Antonelli as well. He's staying at... Norris is quietly going about his business today. He's in P4, and he has been quietly following Kimi Antonelli, a 22.2 last time around for Norris also, and he is gaining on Kimi Antonelli, who has Sergio Perez ahead of him to navigate past. So keep an eye on Lando Norris today. Someone that no one, even myself included, has really made mention of finishing on the podium, let alone winning this race. And I still think it's a tool to win this race, but Antonelli pushing to close up this gap to the top 2, and Norris is following him. Arvid Lindblad is still out there. He is not retiring. Nope. You can see that he is on the hard compound tyre, and he has just done his first lap on the hard compound tyre. He's in P16 as Bortoleto gets past Behrman for a position there down into turn 1 for 14th place. So Bortoleto had a very poor start to this race. The Audi is a poor starter. Hulkenberg did fare better, still lost a couple of positions, but Bortoleto lost a heap of positions, as we've seen so often with the Audi. So Gasly, who was released by Alpine, and Colapinto team orders there, released by Colapinto to get onto the back of this battle with Lawson and Hulkenberg, is now within that overtake mode range of Nico Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg, who has come unstuck behind Liam Lawson in P9. Hulkenberg in P10. He will not want to give up this position to Pierre Gasly, that is for sure. Only a lap difference in tyre age. Hulkenberg pitted a lap earlier than Pierre Gasly. Lawson pitted 2 laps prior to Nico Hulkenberg and is still comfortably holding him off. But for how long, we will see for the last point scoring positions here. Update at the front. Norris is 1.7 seconds behind Kimi Antonelli. Of course, these two drivers fought for the race win in Miami, with Antonelli coming out on top. Hamilton getting past, who was Alex Albon there for a lap position. 2.3 seconds behind George Russell he is, as they're lapping identical lap times, 22.8 for the pair last time around. Nico Hulkenberg is complaining about Liam Lawson's defending. He moved right on the braking zone, so he is not happy with the defence of Liam Lawson. We'll see if that will be investigated or not by the stewards. Still yet to see anything come through at the moment. But Pierre Gasly on the back of that battle. We will keep one eye on them, as George Russell 2.5 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton with 41 laps remaining. Antonelli 2 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton now, as they have a bit of clean air ahead of him. He is using this hard compound tyre, and this is the different strategies in play right now. Lando Norris 1.7 seconds behind Antonelli as well, and he's following suit and closing up that gap to George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, the top 2. Max Verstappen 7.8 seconds behind. This strategy, not sure it's working for Max Verstappen and Red Bull today. They have 2 medium compound tyres to use. Maybe there'll be something different in the second stint. Will make me eat my words, but he has been chased down by Charles Leclerc. Not too long ago, it was 7 seconds to gap, and now it is 2.5 seconds, as Max is on 4-lap older medium compound tyres, and Charles Leclerc is on 9-lap hard compound tyres and closing at a rate of knots. Up 4 positions today, Charles Leclerc. a good start to the race, making up a heap of positions, and he still has a good result in there for him. He needs probably a safety car to try and give himself an opportunity of at least standing on the podium, but he could be finishing in the top 5 here after starting 10th after crashing in Q3 yesterday. Arvid Lindblad has just overtaken Esteban Ocon down into turn 1. The battle between Lawson, Hulkenberg and Gasly rages on. Colapinto will be looking to try and close that gap to them, but he can't just now. But Antonelli is 1.4 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton now. So Russell has cleared Ollie Behrman. Hamilton now has the dirty air of the Haas car ahead of him. Potentially, he's future replacement, Ollie Behrman, of Lewis Hamilton's seat, as he is a Ferrari junior driver. As Behrman in that Haas is 17th place, he'll be moving out of the way of Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Antonelli swiftly. But Antonelli is making he is on a different attack plan here to Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Russell at 22.9 last time around. Lewis Hamilton at 23.3, which I think was having to deal with lap traffic. Ollie Behrman has been waved blue flag, so I imagine he'll have to move. He's going to have to move out of the way very shortly. And all the while, as he does right now into the braking zone of turn 10, he had to do that. Because otherwise he would have received a penalty. He held on to that position, held on to that for quite some time. As I imagine he'll probably let Antonelli through a lot more easier. We will see, as Antonelli is 1.2 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, and the longer Antonelli could be held up by Behrman, the better. But no, Behrman swiftly moves out of the way of Antonelli, and Hamilton's in the pits. Hamilton into the pit lane for the second time today. And here we go. Strategy. Is this a free stop? Is this a free stop from Ferrari today? Aggressive from Ferrari. He's in the pit lane. Where is he going to come out? He's going to come out behind Piastri. But what tyre is Lewis Hamilton on? That is the intrigue here. And he's on the medium. Lewis Hamilton is on the medium compound tyre. 39 laps left to go. This can't be done with the medium to the end. But let's see. It's bold. It's bold from Ferrari and bold from Lewis Hamilton. A free stop strategy, of course. He has made some aggressive strategy calls here in the past, him and his former Mercedes team, and it paid off very well for him. And he's clearly comfortable in the car for this strategy to be viable today. And, let's see how it plays out for him. 2.6 second pit stop time for Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton. So another good pit stop, 2.5 seconds and 2.6 seconds for Ferrari. So Lewis Hamilton rejoins behind Oscar Piastri. I'm not sure if George Russell will respond to this. Of course, they do not have another set of medium compound tyres to use here. So this is a full attack for Lewis Hamilton. He needs to quickly dispatch Oscar Piastri. He's just done the fastest middle sector of 32.2. He's half a second behind Piastri, who has Sergio Perez ahead of him, who is lap traffic, and this won't help Piastri at all. It will help Lewis Hamilton as we get a nice double toe from the cars ahead of him. He'll have overtake mode, and Perez will move out of the way for Lewis Hamilton and Oscar Piastri, but I think Piastri will also get overtake mode from Perez ahead of him. And yes, actually, he probably could have done with Perez not being there. But this is interesting. How will this play out for Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Antonelli? Will they respond at all? Look at that, Lewis Hamilton with the extra level of grip he has on that tyre. And boy, oh boy, Antonelli has just been given a black and white flag for track limits. So Antonelli, 3 track limits at the moment. 1 more and he will receive a 5-second time penalty. So Antonelli, while he's on push mode, has picked up too many track limits. Well, not too many just yet, but 1 more and he'll receive a 5-second time penalty. If you are receiving ads in the middle of this race, it is not by design. It is something that YouTube are enforcing. I have ads turned off, so apologies if you do receive them. You should only receive them when you're joining the initial live streams. It's something I am not manually in control of, so do apologise there. It is not me. So here we go. So George, hang on. As Russell has been told, he still needs to keep these lap times going as Lewis Hamilton does the fastest lap of the race with a 20.633. 20.633 for Lewis Hamilton. And boy, oh boy, is it full attack mode? Is it hammer time? Is it hammer time for Lewis Hamilton here? Because it's a three-stop strategy. He can afford to push maybe a little bit more here than he initially was going to if he was on a two-stop strategy. Antonelli is closing the gap to George Russell, but he has one more track limits violation, and he'll receive a 5-second time penalty. Verstappen is now onto the set of hard compound tyres. His strategy not playing out that well today for Max Verstappen, but Lewis Hamilton, 3.8 seconds to Charles Leclerc now, making up a whole heap of time. That just shows how much an advantage there is and pace advantage there is for pitting, onto brand new tyres. And that's why this 23.5 second pit stop loss time isn't the be all and end all here, and why these drivers, some of them, will be seeking a free stop strategy here, of course, unless you know you've got the pace. So Hulkenberg now dives into the pit lane, unable to get past earlier on Liam and Lawson. Pierre releases Pierre Gasly to try and go on the attack of Liam Lawson and see if he can overtake him. As we have Ocon and Behrman about to have a little battle here, but I think Behrman is on brand new. He's on brand new hard compound tyres, and Behrman relinquishes the position to Behrman as they are 15th and 16th. Albon into the pits as well, as Hulkenberg is in the pit. Is he retiring? Is Hulkenberg retiring? No! Hulkenberg! No, surely not. Hulkenberg has been stationary for way too long, and Hulkenberg, I think, has retired from this race. Another retirement for Audi, and Hulkenberg, what has he done? What has he done to deserve this? Because he is still yet to score his first ever point in Formula 1, and yes, confirmation of a retirement for Nico Hulkenberg. A real shame for him. But as we rejoin the action, Lewis Hamilton is 1.6 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. He's nearly 3 seconds faster than his teammate at the moment, who is on 14-lap hards. Hamilton is on full push mode on the mediums. 20 for a purple first sector for him, and he is closing up on his teammate and will be getting him undoubtedly out of the last corner into the start-finish straight, as Kimi Antonelli is quicker than his teammate at the moment. He just made up 1.1 seconds on his teammate. Carlos Sainz is into the pits as well. And, well, let's see what is going to happen here between the Mercedes duo. Still 35 laps left of this race. Will Russell fight this hard? Will he let Antonelli have the position? How hard is he going to defend here? This will benefit Lewis Hamilton, as Charles Leclerc is going to let Lewis Hamilton pass down into turn one. Different strategies at play and completely two different races happening on track at the moment for the two Ferrari drivers, as Charles Leclerc is up 5 places into P5 and is on the hard compound tyres after he started 10th today. But Lewis Hamilton on a charge. He is within 15 seconds of George Russell. Remember, it's a 23.5 second pit stop loss time here under the green flag conditions. You will gain 10.5 seconds under the VSC or safety car if there is one, which we are yet to have one. We've had 3 retirements from this race, and all of them have been in the pit lane. So a shame for Nico Hulkenberg there. And, well, after qualifying Q3, getting into Q3 for the first time this season, finally, the car cuts out on him as he's fighting for a point. So Nico Hulkenberg must have done something wrong at some point heading into this season, as his elusive first point still remains, as Bortoletto is the only sole Audi driver out there in 13th place. But Lewis Hamilton, fastest first sector, middle sector, 32.6. So he is going so much quicker than everyone else at the moment. Fastest man out on track, is the only driver out on track on the medium compound tyre. As Hamilton is asking, let me know what times I need to do. 20.9. So, Lewis is told you need to do a 20.9, and he's just done a 20.855. That is the target for Lewis Hamilton. There is a strategy at play here, a free-stop strategy for Ferrari. He is 12.6 seconds behind George Russell. He is gaining on Lando Norris, a 23.597 for Lando Norris last time around. We have 34 laps remaining of this race. Russell and Antonelli are fighting for the lead. They are 6 tenths separating the two of them, and all the while they have a 40-year-old man chasing them down. What is going to happen come the end of this Barcelona Grand Prix? We will see. Stay tuned, guys. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Sergio Perez pits. We have Isaac Hadjar pitting as well. And Antonelli is on the attack of George Russell. George Russell did go defensive into the first corner. And all the while these two fight, the more they are giving time away to the Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton, who is on an aggressive three-stop strategy here. They may potentially go onto a set of soft compound tyres at the end. Maybe that is why they're allowing their two drivers to fight right now, because it's for Lewis to catch these two up. What are they going to do? Or will they go onto the hard? As Antonelli in the slipstream of George Russell was about to say DRS, but we no longer have DRS here. He is within that 1 second range of an overtake mode here, but George Russell has been looking after his tyres a lot longer than Antonelli, who is now in the dirty air. How much longer will those hard compound tyres last and Antonelli be able to stay on this attack on his teammate? As it stands, Antonelli would be on 18 points here, gaining 18 points, and George Russell 25. A 7-point gain for George Russell and Antonelli in this championship standings. But Antonelli wants to win his 6th race in a row. He doesn't want to finish second. He wants as many points advantage as he possibly can, and another trophy in his ever-growing cabinet. He's got 5 in a row. He wants 6, but you can see there the lack of grip starting to come here to Antonelli as he's drifted out to 9/10 of a second from George Russell, who has that clean air ahead of him. Lewis Hamilton now 5 seconds behind Lando Norris. And remember, Kimi has one more track limits violation and he'll receive a 5-second time penalty. So something to take into consideration here. Antonelli is on the attack, but he needs to keep it within track limits. But Lewis Hamilton, let's see what is going to happen with this battle here. I'm so intrigued to see how it plans out. I did not expect a three-stop strategy today, but here we are. It makes things interesting for us. 32 laps remaining. Lewis Hamilton is in P4. He has 4.2 seconds to Lando Norris ahead of him and 9.3 seconds to George Russell, who is defending from his teammate, his championship battling teammate up front. Is it a... Let's see. This is the thing. Is it an issue for the two Mercedes duo? Because the longer they fight, the more they will allow eventually Lando Norris potentially to get into this. As Lewis is asking, am I catching them? Yes, you are. And with 32 laps remaining, if Lewis Hamilton catches onto the back of them, well, he has quicker medium compound tyres. And, well, will they go onto the hards or will they go onto the softs at the end? That will be the question here. As Antonelli radio, it won't be long for George. As Bono reports to Kimi Antonelli, it won't be long for George. So they are going to have to pit onto the hard compound tyre. And then Lewis Hamilton will be pushing continually on this medium, as he has been for 7 laps so far. And then he'll be undoubtedly on a soft compound tyre at the end. So they are kind of, to a degree, forcing Mercedes' hands. They won't be able to go long on this hard compound tyre and then go onto the softs. We still have 31 laps remaining here, guys. We've only just gone over the halfway mark here as Lando Norris now goes into the pit lane. So the gap, Antonelli has been told you have to keep the gap nice and healthy to his teammate. But he doesn't hear. I think Antonelli has turned his radio off, as that gap to George Russell is half a second at the moment. He's not listening to Bono. He wants to get the lead of the race here, as Hamilton is now into P3 and will see the Mercedes duo up ahead as he rounds some of these corners. 6.1 seconds. Russell and Antonelli are going to pit soon, undoubtedly. And, well, if they do, they're going to have to go onto a set of hard compound tyres. That's all they have available. They don't have any mediums. They only have used softs. And if they use the softs, well, they're not making it to the end, are they? That's if they want to do this two-stop strategy. And then, well, if they do match Lewis Hamilton for this free stop, it is already kind of too little too late, to be honest with you, as Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari pulled the trigger very early here as Sergio Perez overtakes Albon as Albon dives into the pit lane. So, George Russell, let's keep an eye on this battle, actually. I was about to run through the grid here as Gasly gets past Liam Lawson, but only because they have been diving into the pit lane as George Russell is into the pits. George is into the pit lane here. What tyre is he going to come out on? He's undoubtedly going to come out onto the hard compound tyre. Surely it's the only strategy left available to them, especially if they want to win this race, as George Russell is into the pit lane. He's going to be overtaken by Charles Leclerc. I don't know how good the pit stop is, but Lewis Hamilton is in P2. Charles Leclerc is in P3. Antonelli is first, but he is being closed down upon by Lewis Hamilton, and you can see how much fresher tyres benefit you as Lando Norris does the fastest last sector of anyone today on a brand new set of hard compound tyres. As I tell you what, Antonelli is going so deep into turn 10. He is at risk of really picking up a track limits violation into turn 10. He's going so deep into there every single lap, for I can see from the onboards of himself and the rearboard shots of George Russell. But George Russell is out in P4. He's on a brand new set of hards. Yes, confirmation there. So I do presume this will be George Russell going to the end of the race here on this set of hard compound tyres, unless there is a safety car. Lewis Hamilton on the mediums, 9-lap-old mediums. He did a 21.2 last time around compared to Antonelli's 23.4. That is 2 and a bit seconds quicker than Kimi Antonelli, our championship leader. Of course, if Kimi Antonelli was to win this race as it stands, with Lewis Hamilton in P2, as Antonelli dives into the pit lane, and Lewis Hamilton will lead the Barcelona Grand Prix for the first time. A three-stop strategy, a bold call by Ferrari, is what you are witnessing right now. But how much will it pay off? How much will it pay off? As Antonelli is told, it won't be long, Kimi. We've got to cover Norris, as they still think they're battling Lando Norris, because, well, Lando Norris is travelling at a real rate of knots as he flies down the start-finish straight and dives into turn 1. He's going to have extra grip. Antonelli's straight out of the pit lane. Lando's going to have extra grip. He's going to be receiving the dirty air of Ollie Bearman ahead of him. But will Antonelli be able to hold on to this position here from Lando Norris, who just set the fastest lap of the race? And Bearman swiftly moves aside to allow Antonelli ahead, and by the skin of his teeth, Mercedes and Antonelli keep themselves ahead of Lando Norris and avoid the undercut. But will they be able to hold off Lando, who has those tyres up to temperature? And Antonelli needs to get past Liam Lawson, who is ahead. How slow was the pit stop for Antonelli there? It was 2.8 seconds. If it was a couple of attempts slower, then Norris would have been side by side into Antonelli into the first corner. And maybe Antonelli has and the Mercedes team have just been able to hold off Lando Norris. We will see. But George Russell is 3 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. He will swiftly catch him up and overtake him. The fastest first sector for him, as Lewis Hamilton is on the medium compound tyre, 21.360. Let's see how this unfolds now. So Lewis Hamilton is still going to be pushing on this medium compound tyre. There's 28 laps remaining. Antonelli does the fastest last sector of the race, and no issue in getting those tyres up to temperature in 50 degrees track temp, as it is at the top of your screen. A bit of a very hot Barcelona weekend. Leclerc needs to defend like an absolute lion. He does indeed, but will he even be able to? I'm not sure, as we are seeing more pit stops here. The second pit stops for most for drivers. I think Lewis Hamilton is the only driver on a 3-stop strategy, from what we have seen. Lewis will not be going to the end of the race on this tyre, that is for sure. He will have to pit again. The medium will not be able to go another 28 laps. That is, I think he will lose way too much time. As you've just seen George Russell on the hards do a 20.7. You've seen Kimi Antonelli. He's going to probably match his teammate there. He's 1.7 seconds behind his teammate. But this is going to be interesting, because the battle between the two Mercedes is going to heat up, as George Russell needs to try and get past Charles Leclerc, as Charles Leclerc, as you said, needs to defend like a lion here, as Charles Leclerc coming around the last couple of corners here. And Charles Leclerc, what will it be if he decides to pit, as Russell gets past Charles around turn 12? You don't often see an overtake there. That just shows how much extra grip George Russell has on Charles Leclerc, who does dive into the pit lane. As Hamilton has been told by his engineer, the next 7 laps are critical. We have our chance. Confidence on the radio from Lewis Hamilton's engineer. Something we haven't heard since his time at Mercedes with Bono, who is now Kimi Antonelli's engineer. Could that be one of the reasons why Kimi has been performing so comfortably and has another opportunity at the race win today? His 6th race win in a row. Lando Norris, though, he needs to be careful with Lando Norris, because Lando has been quietly going about his business today. And Fernando Alonso's off. Fernando Alonso is off. And if there's a safety car here, Lewis Hamilton could massively benefit. But it needs to be a safety car now, as he's rounding the last couple of corners. Is there going to be a safety car? Where is Fernando Alonso, where has he pulled off? This is now or never for Lewis Hamilton. This could be the moment. He's round the pit lane, and it's still a yellow flag for Fernando Alonso, as it looks like Alonso is going to retire from the end of this. Oh my God! You can't make it up. You can't make it up. Lewis Hamilton rounds the last corner, and the VSC comes out. You cannot make it up. He's just missed a 10.5 second free pit stop. The only benefit is that if this VSC lasts, by the time he comes around to the pit lane again, he will be able to make a 10.5 second pit stop advantage. We will see. How long is this VSC going to stay out for? That was suspect. Was it suspect? Get your conspiratorial heads on, or caps on, guys. Get your tinfoil hats on. But as it stands, Lewis Hamilton leads by 21.4 seconds to George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. He nearly has a free pit stop, actually. He nearly has a free pit stop on Russell and Antonelli. Oh, let's see. Let's see what is going to happen here. Lewis will be at the top of the delta that is available for a VSC. How long will the VSC be? Fernando Alonso is climbing out of his car. A retirement for Fernando Alonso. And I think this is going to be a pit stop for Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen did get a cheap pit stop there. And surely, here we go. Lewis Hamilton is going to be into the pit lane here. Undoubtedly, he is indeed. The VSC is still deployed. So here we go. Lewis Hamilton could be leading this race when he exits the pit lane. As he is already halfway down, he has already gained a significant amount of time over the Mercedes duo, as they have to stay at a delta here as Lewis Hamilton is leaving the pit lane. Let's see where he comes out. But one thing for sure is that Lewis Hamilton is going to be on fresh tyres, and he can go full throttle to the pit lane exit line, and Lewis Hamilton leads the Barcelona Grand Prix. It is a level playing field. All pit stops made. The strategy has played out tremendously. The VSC ends and we go green again. Lewis Hamilton leads the Barcelona Grand Prix with 25 laps remaining. He's going to have to defend from the Mercedes duo of George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, as they are 1.4 and 1.1 seconds behind. But Lewis Hamilton, it looked like he was on the wrong side of the VSC. He was on a free stop strategy. He'd almost built up a full pit stop distance between himself and the Mercedes duo, and now he has the clean air. For the first time this race, he is ahead of Russell and Antonelli, who are fighting it out themselves with a very quiet Lando Norris, who is just going about his business today and will be looking to capitalise. The hard compound tyre will be able to go to the end of this race, but Lewis Hamilton, who is on 5 lap fresher tyres than Russell and Antonelli, has the clean air ahead of him. What have we witnessed here? Have we actually seen a decent strategy call from Ferrari? I can't believe my eyes. Miracles do exist, of course. There's still a very long way to go here at this Barcelona Grand Prix. Let's see how it fares. Sergio Perez will be moving out of the way for Lewis Hamilton as they make their way down into turn 1, as he does touch the brakes there, and Lewis Hamilton is just done a purple middle and third sector. He is 2.8 seconds ahead of George Russell. George Russell will be thinking, not another safety car, not another safety car. Hamilton, great job, guys. He relays on the radio. Lewis Hamilton there. Lewis getting the rub of the green as Verstappen does the fastest lap of the race with a 20.2 on the medium compound tyres. But he is 19.9 seconds behind Lando Norris. And, well, Charles Leclerc looks like he will, unless those medium compound tyres fall off of a cliff, he is going to have to probably contend with just finishing 5th place. That is a possibility, though. 6th place, as he's up 4 places starting from P10. But Lewis Hamilton, 3 seconds ahead of George Russell now on 5 lap fresher hard compound tyres. Then George Russell, Kimi Antonelli is P3. And, well, if the championship standings were to be as they are, Lewis Hamilton would be gaining 25 points and 10 points over Kimi Antonelli. That gap would come down to 56 points, and Lewis would be second in the championship on 115, and Russell would be third on 106. That would be a big deal there in the championship, with Antonelli still a sizable lead over the rest of the field. So as we run through this grid here, after that VSC, everyone has now made a pit stop, and we go into the end of this race undoubtedly as Lewis Hamilton leads by 3 seconds from George Russell in P2. Kimi Antonelli is 1.5 seconds behind his teammate in P3. They've just done 20.3 for Lewis, a 20.6 for Russell, and a 20.898 for Antonelli, who, remember, is on a black and white flag for track limits violations. If he receives one more track limits violation, he will be receiving a 5-second time penalty. Lando Norris is 1.5 seconds behind Antonelli in P4. Verstappen, 20 seconds behind Norris in P5. Leclerc is P6, 1.8 seconds behind, with Piastri in P7. A bit of a lonely race for the Australian today, as Hadjar is P8 after a very poor start to his race, bogging down at the start. He lost a whole host of positions because of an issue with his Red Bull, and he is up in 8th place, or down in 8th place. Good recovery from him regardless, though. Gasly is in P9 and Colapinto is in P10, so Hulkenberg retiring has relinquished them there, and I think Gasly and Colapinto were on the right side, or at least, yeah, they're on the right side of the VSC, as Lawson was on the wrong side, and he is now looking to try and get back into the points, something that really Lawson doesn't deserve today, as he has been in the points throughout. But that is the nature of a VSC. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. And the biggest winner, of course, is Lewis Hamilton, as he sets the fastest lap of the race, 0.7 of a second quicker than George Russell last time around. Wowee. Of course, we'll see if those hard compound tyres are going to last to the end of the race. They will be a lot more durable now because they have less fuel in the car. Liam Lawson in 11th, as I touched upon. Sainz in P12. He's 14 seconds behind Liam Lawson. Lindblad is in P13. Bortoleto 14th. Behrman 15th. Ocon 16th. Perez 17th. He's 41 seconds, Perez, behind Esteban Ocon, and 2 laps down here. Alonso has retired from this race. Albon is back out. Albon's back from the dead, as Alex Albon is back from the dead, and after he's 10 laps down, and he is out there on a set of soft compound tyres. Nico Hulkenberg has retired from this race after fighting for points. A real shame for him. His first points of the season still continue. And Franco Colapinto has been a yellow flag infringement there, so he'll be investigated for that. Valtteri Bottas retired very early on, as did Lance Stroll as well. So, Alex Albon back from the dead. He is 10 laps down on the leaders. I guess if you stay in the car and you don't officially retire the car, you can go back out there. We saw that from Aston Martin a couple of times, didn't we, in the first few races of the season. Undoubtedly a glorified test session for Williams now, with 21 laps remaining. Of course, still massively overweight, confirmed by James Vowles, so some performance gains to be found there for Williams, but it's been a very poor season for them, hasn't it? So much more expected from the Williams team after all the promises from James Vowles. As we go back to the top of the standings here, and well, Lewis Hamilton, a bold 3-stop strategy from Ferrari has paid off dividends, massive dividends, with the help, of course, for a VSC. And, well, Lewis Hamilton has been noted for a yellow flag infringement. Oh, my goodness. Lewis Hamilton has been noted for a yellow flag infringement, so we will see what occurred there. Same as Franco Colapinto, and Lewis Hamilton, maybe that's why he's on full push. Maybe they expect that there might be a penalty coming his way, but we will see. Deary me, I was just saying it's been all not plain sailing for Lewis Hamilton. It's been very, very hard worked for Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton. He is 5 seconds in front of George Russell at the moment. 1.5 seconds is the gap to Antonelli and George Russell, 1.4, and he is so much quicker than Russell and Antonelli. But there's 20 laps remaining of this Barcelona Grand Prix, and he is under investigation for a yellow flag infringement. We will see what that is for. I'm not entirely sure. It might be something that is given out to him at the end of the race. It may be something that he might even be able to nullify, but yellow flag infringements are something that the teams do not, the FIA do not look too fondly on, of course, as it is always to do with safety concerns. But We will see. He's leading this race in clean air, 5.3 seconds ahead of Russell. Antonelli, 1.3 seconds. And I just don't think the Mercedes have the performance here. As we mentioned, the track temperatures have helped nullify the advantage that Mercedes has over the rest of the field because of tyre degradation, and also drivers as well. Their ability to manage tyres. This is the first time we have seen in this regulation set where tyre management has been a key factor. All 6 races before this have been comfortable one-stop races. You can go 100% into every single corner. That's how durable the tyres have been. But no such thing here at Barcelona, with it being 50 degrees track temp, with the track being high abrasiveness, with high-speed corners, low-speed corners. A real mixture. And, well, Lewis Hamilton has been here and done it more than a few times at Barcelona. He clearly loves these cars, the way that they handle. George Russell and Antonelli. Russell still not that good when it comes to tyre management. He's got better as the years have gone on, and Antonelli, he's still a young pup in the grand scheme of things. Yes, he's a young pup who is leading this championship and will continue to do so, even if the standings finish as it is, with Hamilton in P1 and Russell P2 and himself in P3. He'll still have an over 50-point lead in the championship, which is crazy to say. But the 6 races in a row may be coming to an end. But there's still a long way to go here. 19 laps remaining. It's been a very long race today. Thank you very much for tuning in. And if you could hit the like button. We've got 23,000 of you here in the stream. Hit the like button. Let's get this stream to 10,000 likes. Go on, you can do it. And hit the subscribe button as well. Get us to 90,000 subscribers as it stands. We're on 83.5. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Still a long way to go. So Hamilton leads by 6.4 seconds to George Russell. He's gaining. Lewis is doing low 20s right now, and Russell is doing high 20s, and so is Antonelli. They don't have the pace. I'm sure they're not probably looking after this set of hard compound tyres. No further investigation for Lewis Hamilton. Yellow flag infringement. He is free to race. No penalty for Lewis Hamilton confirmed there for yellow flag infringement. And Lewis is free to drive without any faults in his head, but he will be receiving a penalty, or the team as well. So he is 6.6 seconds ahead of George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, who I'm surprised Antonelli hasn't really been able to close up the gap on George Russell at the moment, as Alex Albon moves up a position ahead of Fernando Alonso. We've had an overtake from a car that has been revived, is back from the dead, and is 10 laps down, because he's now done officially more laps than Fernando Alonso in P19. So Hamilton leads by 7 seconds from George Russell with 18 laps remaining. Antonelli is P3. He's 1.5 seconds behind his teammate with 1 lap fresher tyres. Lando Norris is gaining a little bit on Antonelli and Russell. He's not quite... It's been quite a level performance, to be honest, today, Norris, with the 2 Mercedes. And he's quietly been going about his business, and he's got a slim chance of a podium today, Norris, as he is gaining there. As you can see, the interval time has been highlighted as 1.5, 1.6 seconds to Antonelli. Of course, if Antonelli starts to fight his teammate in the coming laps, that will allow Lando Norris to close up and make this a three-way fight for the last podium positions. Verstappen has been gaining on Lando Norris, but he's way too far behind. And 18.3 seconds is the gap to Lando Norris. Not really the strategy. The strategy hasn't worked out for Verstappen today. They went something out there, and it hasn't paid off for them. Charles Leclerc is now starting to gain on Max Verstappen. So those medium compound tyres are already come to the end of their peak condition, as Verstappen is losing ground to Charles Leclerc. 1.4 seconds is the gap. 20.8 last time around for Leclerc, and Verstappen did a 21.1. So the hard compound tyres are going to last in this race, and Leclerc has a chance of making it into the top 5 here after starting P10 after qualifying in Q3 yesterday. Piastri, no man's land for him. He's been a very lonely race for Oscar Piastri. He is down in 7th place, and Isaac Hadjar is 27 seconds behind Piastri. He's also had a difficult race today, Hadjar, after slowly getting off of the line and getting swamped down into the first corner. He is recovered back to P8, as he should do in that Red Bull. And, well, some of the biggest winners today are Gasly and Colapinto, the 2 Alpines, of course, on a high at the moment. Pierre Gasly and Alpine, after having that podium taken back to them after he finished P3 on track and those penalties being rescinded. He is in the points once again. Pierre Gasly and Colapinto is in P10 on the right side of the VSC, but Liam Lawson is looking to close them two down and try and score another point for this season. Liam Lawson, as he has Arvid Lindblad 11 seconds behind. So update back at the top. Lewis Hamilton 8.3 seconds ahead of George Russell. He is lapping at a consistent rate of knots faster than Russell and Antonelli. Last time around, Lewis Hamilton did a 20.2 and Russell did a 21.5. He's going over a second quicker than the two Mercedes duo at the moment. And, well, Russell might be struggling with his tyres as Antonelli has really closed down the gap, as has Lando Norris as well. It looks like we are going to see a fight between George Russell, Kimi Antonelli and Lando Norris with 16 laps remaining for the last podium positions. It'll be a real gutter punch for George Russell if he loses second place. Of course, the first place, he was on the wrong side of the safety car again today. But Ferrari were bold with their strategy and they have capitalised it and put them in a position to benefit from that VSC. So in that sense, you can't look too harshly on the performance of George Russell. But here, you can look harsh on him if he is allowed to let Kimi Antonelli pass, as Antonelli is now within that overtake mode of George Russell. And, well, Antonelli, he will get it. As you could see, that interval time is closing. It's closing. He was 0.3 of a second quicker than his teammate last time around. And, well, this duo, this pack of three here, Russell, Antonelli and Norris, are lapping around half a second slower than Lewis Hamilton, as Lewis Hamilton has 8.9 seconds ahead of George Russell. I imagine that Lewis Hamilton is probably wanting to build a pit stop window right now to Kimi Antonelli and George Russell, which is around 12.5 seconds. So that is why Lewis Hamilton is on push right now, and then he will probably look to manage that gap as the final laps here start to come to a close. So Hamilton is told 15 laps to go and you were doing a good job, so you can go on. Crack on, mate. Crack on is basically what his engineer has just said there. So Kimi Antonelli, 1 second behind George Russell, loses it a bit into turn 10. Of course, all the while, Antonelli has to have that thought in the back of his head that he cannot exceed track limits. If he exceeds track limits one more time, he will receive a 5-second time penalty, and that would be costly. That would put him behind Lando Norris and out of the podium positions. But George Russell holding him off for enough right now. He won't have overtake mode this time around, I believe, as he utilised it last time. They need at least another lap to be able to utilise it, as Antonelli is closing there with the slipstream and the straight line mode open there, and gets to half a second of his teammate George Russell with 14 laps remaining. Full attack mode for Antonelli and applying the pressure. He caught up to Russell earlier on. Russell not too happy about his team bringing him in as early as he did with the tyre management he was managing, and thinks he could have used more of his tyre earlier on, but they said they were on plan A, and George Russell is now 10 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, who did a 20.7 and Russell did a 21.6. So George definitely struggling on those hards, and the Mercedes duo struggling on those hards in relative comparison to the Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton, who has a 10.5 second lead and is pulling out time every single corner, as George has been told to pick up the pace now. So George has just been told to pick up the pace, and maybe that's because they might have thought that Lando's getting it a bit too close, as he is 1.1 seconds in P4 to Kimi Antonelli. Antonelli within that 1 second range, and Norris nearly within that 1 second of range as well. So is there being games played by George Russell on Kimi Antonelli, backing him up somewhat into Norris, but Norris unable to really get involved here. Every single time it looks like he gets close, Antonelli and Russell do just pull out a little bit more, as is so powerful that Mercedes engine. As here we go, Antonelli a lot closer here, but he really needs to be around 6/10, I think, to have an opportunity of Russell down into turn 1. But just because you are not in front into turn 1 doesn't mean that you can't get a move done in the next couple of corners, as we saw beautifully executed by Charles Leclerc earlier on. As Norris has been told to keep within 5 seconds of Kimi Antonelli, because he has a he could have a 5-second time penalty. He's been off track 3 times, as I have relayed to you. So Lando Norris is fully aware of this. Not going on attack mode himself, though, and really getting involved in this fight between the 2 Mercedes in front, even though there is a podium on offer. But he has been informed to stay within that 5-second range, which he has comfortably been doing of Kimi Antonelli. And, well, he is now within a 1-second range of Kimi Antonelli. As Kimi Antonelli maybe went a little bit deep into turn 7 there. He's lost a whole host of time and a lot of speed on the run up the hill through turn 9 into turn 10, and he needs to be careful here not to exceed that limit and go deep into the brakes. Turn 10 is a corner that he's been going deep into all day, as that gap is 11 seconds to Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Now 12 laps remaining here, a 20.9 for Lewis Hamilton. Consistent lap times right now, and well, what pace Ferrari have had here this weekend. My goodness, no one expected this, but it just shows, I think, if there is a hot track temperature, if time management is at play, maybe we have seen an actual weakness here come to the forefront of Mercedes. Something we haven't seen in the first 6 races, but maybe Mercedes aren't that great when it comes to time management. Maybe it's their driver pairing as well, compared to someone like Lewis Hamilton, who has, and Ferrari as well, which has a great chassis and is arguably the best car in the corners. Maybe that is something, but Lewis Hamilton is able to better the Mercedes at. But how many races more will we see this type of race? I'm not sure if we'll see so many. Pirelli really need to bring a step softer compound to every single race weekend. That will provide us some intrigue. But 11.3 seconds, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Kimi Antonelli is third, chasing down his teammate, but he's losing time here, Antonelli. Hand over fist. 1.7 seconds is the gap to George Russell, and I think that moment he had on the last lap into turn 7 has really cost him a bit of time. I don't know if he locked up into there, but Antonelli has that sustained challenge on George Russell, or maybe he's dropping back somewhat just to cool those tyres for a couple of laps, even though he's still relatively close to his teammates, and then go on the charge again. As he did a 21.7 last time around, and Russell did a 21.8, and Russell did a 21.5. So 3 tenths gain there for Russell on Antonelli. Norris 1.5 seconds behind Antonelli, and he has been informed to stay within that 5-second range because Antonelli might get. He's not got it, but he might get a 5-second time penalty if he exceeds one more track limits violation. Verstappen is gaining slightly on Norris, but is 18 seconds behind in P5. Charles Leclerc, I thought he might be able to chase down Verstappen, but it looks like maybe he's run into a few issues. Maybe he's lifting and coasting, as he is now 5 seconds off of Max Verstappen on hard compound tyres. Piastri in 7th, a lonely race for him. He's in P9, he's 9 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. Hadjar in 8th, 29 seconds behind Piastri. Gasly and Colapinto in 9th and 10th. 9-second advantage Gasly has over Colapinto, so he's going to score points again, Pierre Gasly. And Liam Lawson is looking to close down the gap on Colapinto. He's trying, but he's not really making any headway. A couple of attempts gained last time around, but 2 seconds is the gap to Colapinto and Liam Lawson for that fight between P10 and P11. Arvid Lindblad is 7.5 seconds behind Liam Lawson in P12. Sainz is 13th. Behrman 14th. Ocon 15th. Bortoleto is 16th. Perez 17th. And Albon, back from the dead, 10 laps down, is in 18th. And we've had Alonso, Hulkenberg, Bottas and Stroll retire from this race. Is Kimi struggling with his neck? Oh dear, can see that. Yeah, he's definitely resting his neck, isn't he, on the straight. So Kimi Antonelli, maybe a bit of physicality issues playing a factor here. But he's still back. We're still trying, Kimi. 1.1 seconds is the gap to himself and his teammate. So maybe, yes, with a bit of dirty air being given off of Esteban Ocon's car there. Sorry, the wrong Haas. He is looking to close up that gap and capitalise on that lap car. 1 second is the gap to Antonelli and George Russell. Of course, Antonelli, a podium is not anything to scoff at. It's not a win, of course, but he'll still have over 50 points advantage over Lewis Hamilton, who will be looking like he's going to win this race with 10 laps remaining. 13 seconds is the gap to Russell and Hamilton. And, well, he pretty much has now that safety car pit stop afforded to him, Hamilton, where he'll be able to come in and take a set of soft compound tyres. Wow, what a race this has been. What a race it's been. The wheel-to-wheel action may be a little bit few and far between. We've seen a couple of good overtakes, but the strategy has definitely played an important role here today. We expected it heading into this weekend, and as the weekend unfolded, and well, it has provided us with Lewis Hamilton currently in P1. A bold three-stop strategy for Ferrari in the right place at the right time when the VSC came out. Nearly looked like it was going to have been a missed opportunity for him as the VSC came out as he went round the last corner or past the pit lane, but it stayed out long enough for him to benefit from that cheap pit stop, and he came out into the lead and had much fresher tyres and has pulled out. Even now, I'm surprised he's pulled out quite a sizable gap that he has into P1. Oh, dearie me, what's happened here with the track map data? It's too good to be true, isn't it, to ask for one full weekend without any glitches on the live data. But we are back, thankfully, as with 9 laps remaining. Lewis Hamilton, 13.4 seconds, just getting past Isaac Hadjar there, I think that is. Lapping Isaac Hadjar, so he's lapped 8. He's lapped. Only cars he hasn't lapped are the top 7 at the moment. Verstappen catching Norris, 16.4 seconds yet. He needs to stay, Norris, within that 5-second range of Antonelli. Still doesn't have a penalty, of course, but there's a potential that with him struggling with his physicality, with his neck, and just with those tyres and potential in the dirty air, he could make a mistake and exceed track limits. But look at that. Antonelli dips within the 1-second range of George Russell again, and he will have the overtake mode enabled as they make their way down the start-finish straight. With only 8 times remaining, but they'll be able to do that. And even then, actually, it's only 7 times because the last lap is a very short run to that start-to-finish line out of the last corner. But not enough to put George Russell on the pressure. He's managing this quite comfortably at the moment, George, to be honest with you. But Antonelli is going to stay there within that rear wing, stay in those rear view mirrors, and see how it is. As it looks like driver of the day vote thus far this season, 2 wins to Verstappen and 2 wins to Antonelli. And I wonder who will get the vote today. Wonder who will get the vote today. But thank you everyone for tuning in. If you've enjoyed the live stream and the watch along, hit that like and subscribe button. 2,500 likes. Thank you. Let's get it to 5. There's 26,000 of you here in the stream. Surely there are 5,000 of you that haven't hit that subscribe button. Go on, hit that subscribe button. And we're trying to achieve a goal with 90,000 up at the top of your screen. We'll be returning, of course, for Austria in a couple of weeks' time for another doubleheader at the Red Bull Ring, and then heading to Silverstone for a sprint race. The best doubleheader of the year, if you ask me. Yes, you may say British bias, but I think Silverstone always provides, as does the Red Bull Ring as well. As Lewis Hamilton has told his engineer, leave me alone. Leave me to it. As Isaac Hadjar makes another pit stop here, and he's able to do so, Isaac Hadjar, as he has a 43-second advantage over Pierre Gasly behind. But Kimi Antonelli is a lot closer this time around. He's got under half a second behind George Russell into the braking zone of turn 1. And here we go. George Russell fighting to hold on to P2 and gain, even if it's 3 points. He wants to stop the rut. He wants to stop the charge of his teammate and him continuing to extend this championship lead that he currently has over himself. Of course, George Russell would be staying in P3 and Lewis Hamilton will be staying in P2. But the last thing he wants to do is give more points to his teammate. He's outperformed him here this weekend, and it would definitely rub salt in the already open wounds of George Russell at the start of this season. Kimi Antonelli unable. This is important for Kimi Antonelli to try and stay within around 6 tenths out of the last corner here. This section really, really difficult to try and stay close. And I tell you what, he's done a tremendous job, Antonelli. George Russell maybe had a wiggle there out of turn 11. As look at that, Antonelli 3 tenths behind George Russell as he exits turn 13. This could be it. Under 3 tenths. Will he have overtake mode enabled? Will he have enough? George Russell is going to have to go defensive here. Oh, Kimi Antonelli as he's in the slipstream. Straight mode activated. They're side by side as they make their way down into turn 1. Antonelli's ahead, but Is he staying ahead as Antonelli? That's side by side, and Antonelli gets in front of George Russell, but George is going to come back at the young Italian, our championship leader, as George Russell in the slipstream. They're going to go side by side, and ascend is going to happen here into turn 4. The Mercedes duo as Lewis Hamilton is far up into the distance, and Antonelli gains P2 from George Russell after an error from George through the third sector. And Antonelli is up into P2, and George Russell, who started today on pole, is now looking to lose 3 points on his teammate. And the run of Antonelli, it might not be 6 race wins in a row, but it's going to be 6 races in a row outscoring your teammate. Comfortable overtake there for Antonelli. He got a complete comfortable overdrive on his teammate down into turn 1, was on the inside, and George Russell just could not fight it. And look at it now, Antonelli has been released, and George Russell has killed his tyres. He has no tyres left. 1.4 seconds, 1.5 seconds is the gap to Antonelli already in just a single lap, and George Russell is looking like he's going to finish P3 and this weekend, while it has stopped his rot of scoring no points in 2 race weekends. He is going to be looking at the rear wing of his teammate as they cross the start finish line, and his teammate on a step higher than him when it comes to the podium. Deary me. So what does that do? What does that do to this championship? Well, that means that Lewis Hamilton will be gaining 25 points and Antonelli 18, and that would be, rather than losing 10 points in the championship, he would lose 7 as George Russell's back as Antonelli has stopped. Antonelli is off. Oh my God, what is happening here as Antonelli? Is this an issue for Kimi Antonelli or a transponder issue? He is falling through the field. What has happened to Kimi? I don't know. I am waiting to find out. There's an issue for Kimi Antonelli, and Antonelli is going slow. He's pulled over, and well, we wondered if it would happen. A yellow flag on track, and George Russell, oh my goodness, George Russell, who has already had a Mercedes power unit issue in Canada while leading, and well, Kimi Antonelli, he wasn't leading like George was in Canada, but Kimi has his head in his hands, and George is up into P2, and Kimi is going to score 0 points. VSC deployed as Kimi has pulled it off over to a safe place. But Mercedes, a weakness in the all-powerful team, has had an issue. He'd done the job. He'd overtaken his teammate out on track. He was pulling a gap, and now Kimi has to retire from this race. My goodness. Oh my goodness. So Kimi Antonelli is going to lose 25 points on Lewis Hamilton and 18 points on his teammate. And well, if anyone thought this championship was over and done with, you are sorely mistaken, because this season, anything's going to happen. I don't know what to say. My goodness. Kimi, if you are just joining us, Kimi Antonelli has retired from the race with 5 laps remaining. 5 laps remaining. Kimi Antonelli has had to pull over due to an engine failure. Charles Leclerc has an issue with his car as well and could be retiring from this race as he had a moment through the second corner. I don't know if there's an issue here for Charles Leclerc also. He's still in the pit lane, Charles. We could have 2 retirements here in the top 10 in just a single lap as Charles Leclerc, is he moving? I don't know. Lewis Hamilton stays out as it is only a VSC, as a 25-second advantage to George Russell. No need. 3 laps remaining. No need for him to dive into the pit lane. And Charles Leclerc is retired from the race. Oh my goodness. A Ferrari and a Mercedes retiring on the same lap. What is happening here? That's going to promote Gasly. That's going to promote Colapinto. It's going to promote Lawson and Arvid Lindblad. They are going to have a double point scoring race. Again, the 2 V-carbs. The Gasly and Colapinto are going to score points here. Bortoletto looks like he's going to fall shy of that. He's 45 seconds behind Arvid Lindblad because Leclerc is retiring. Oh, dearie me, as he's wheeled back into the garage, Antonelli's car is wheeled down the safety road, and wow, what is going on? A very, very hot day at Barcelona has just caused these cars to just call it a day. Just call it a day at the end. Gasly, confirmation, moving up into P7 as Leclerc, as they unlap themselves from Charles Leclerc, who is retired. Not sure what happened to him. He went through turn 2 and then went into the gravel. It looked like there was a fault, which just caused him to lose steering. Lawson's going to move up into P9. But George Russell versus Norris on the podium. As I said, Norris has been quietly going about his business today, ladies and gents. And he now finds himself on the podium. He's 3.4 seconds behind Russell. There aren't going to be enough laps here, I believe. We may get one more racing lap as Hamilton is now on the penultimate lap of this race. But my goodness, we wondered, would the luck swing the other way? Antonelli, he's had it too plain sailing, hasn't he? No mechanical issues, no gremlins whatsoever. And he has had the biggest gremlin of all. 2 power unit failures for Mercedes in 3 races. That could play a real factor come the end of the season. We'll have a look at the championship standings in a moment once this race has been finished. Thank you everyone for staying tuned. By the way, 30,000 of you here for the end of this Barcelona Grand Prix. We have green light. We have 1.5 laps remaining here. Lewis Hamilton leads from George Russell by 24.7 seconds. Deary me, 23.7, 22.8, sorry. Oh, it's over 20 seconds. Lando Norris is P3. Max Verstappen is P4. Piastri P5. Hadjar P6. Gasly's been promoted to 7th. Colapinto up into 8th. Lawson 9th. And Lindblad 10th. I'll run through the rest of the field once we cross the finish line. For the last time here, we have one more lap remaining. Behrman has retired as well. The heat has got to the cars. It's got to the teams, and it's caused all sorts of havoc here today at Barcelona. The most amount of DNFs I think we're about to see here, even more so than Monaco. We thought there couldn't be more than Monaco, but here we are. Lewis Hamilton crosses the final line one last time here to start the final lap. Lap 66 of 66. Lewis Hamilton has 14 corners to navigate, 13 now, 12 more now for him to win his first ever race in the Ferrari. In 2026, his teammate has just retired. His 19-year-old replacement has retired. George Russell is 20 seconds back down the road. And Lewis Hamilton, a 40-year-old man, he was called washed. He's over it. Some people have never even witnessed Lewis Hamilton winning a race. They've never witnessed a heyday. They don't know why he's got 7 world championships. Well, today, he has shown he still has it and why he is so highly rated. Antonelli has also been noted for track limits violations. I don't think that's really going to matter too much. But Ferrari, he has 2 more corners to navigate. Ferrari, a bold strategy call, a free stop when no one predicted it. They were on the right side of the VSC. They put themselves to benefit from it. And Lewis Hamilton, for the first time for Ferrari, will stand on the top step and wins the Barcelona Grand Prix. He is second in the championship. He's just gained 25 points on Kimi Antonelli. Championship on? Is the 8th on? I'll let you guys decide. There's still a very long way to go in 2026 as Russell comes across in second and finally gets some luck with Antonelli retiring this race. He was on the wrong side of the VSC. He'd been overtaken by his teammate out on track, but now he reaps 18 points on his championship rival. Lando Norris done really nothing all day. He had a quiet afternoon, but he stayed in it and secures P3 with Kimi's retirement. Max Verstappen across the line in P4. A quiet race for Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri is P5. A lonely race for him. Isaac Hadjar into P6. Back to where he started after a very slow start. Gasly is up 7 places into 7th. What a result for Gasly. 2 weeks in a row. 2 great results for him. Colapinto in P8 makes it a double point scoring race for Alpine. And it's a double point scoring race for Lawson and Lindblad as well. Thanks to the retirements of Leclerc and Antonelli in the last 5 laps. Ball to their Neto finishes P11, Sainz finishes 12th, Ocon 13th, Perez 14th, and today we had the most retirements we have seen this year with Leclerc, Antonelli, Behrman, Alonso, Hulkenberg, Bottas, and Lance Stroll. 7 retirements from this very hot Barcelona Grand Prix. Alex Albon would have been the 8th, but he was back from the dead and was 11 laps down, finishing in 18th place. But there we go. The Barcelona Grand Prix has finished, and well, I did not expect Lewis Hamilton to stand on the top step today. Woo-wee! Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. By the way, hit that like and subscribe button. 84,000 of you. Come on, surely we can get to 85,000. I'm going to do driver of the day. I wonder who's your driver of the day. An all-Brit podium as well, yeah. Let's say, who else could be driver of the day? I think Gasly. I think you could say Kimi as well, because he was doing good. He got up into second. Kimi, and then I think Colapinto. Hamilton, ecstatic over the radio. Ecstatic on the radio. But I think, personally, I think, look, Lewis Hamilton's driver of the day, let's be real. Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you for the kind words. If you for enjoying the stream, I hope you enjoyed the commentary. And yeah, please hit that. Please hit the subscribe button. The subscribe button is what I want you to hit, to be honest with you, more so than the like button. But wow, 20 seconds. Let's have a look at the drivers. Let's look at the championship standings. Let's have a look at the all-important championship standings. So, the championship standings: Kimi Antonelli, a retirement from the race with 5 laps to go. 115 points to Kimi Antonelli's 156. 25 points advantage gained there for Lewis Hamilton. That gap now comes down to 42 points, I think that is, if I'm looking correctly. No, 41. That's 41 points is the gap to Hamilton and Antonelli. Russell, 106 points to Antonelli's 56 points. That is 50 points there, as he's gained 18 points. Leclerc, 75 points. He is losing ground. A retirement for him there, as he was going to be finishing P5. So he could have been finishing P4 if he didn't retire on the same lap. So he's lost a whole heap of points and scores no points for Charles Leclerc. His second race weekend in a row, he scored 0 points, as he has been caught by Lando Norris, who scored 15 points today. He is 2 points behind Leclerc in the title. Oscar Piastri scores 10 and he's on 68. Max Verstappen gains 12 and is on 55 in P7. Gasly is gaining good ground. He's ahead of Isaac Hadjar now with 6 points gained. Hadjar is in P9. Lawson, 2 more points scored for him in P10. Colapinto up into P11. Behrman down into 12. Lindblad scores another point into P13. And in relation to the Constructors' Championship, nothing changes in the standings of the Constructors. Ferrari do gain points, of course, on Mercedes. McLaren gain 25 points. Red Bull 20. Alpine 10. Pulling away from Racing Bulls. But Racing Bulls doing a great job of continually scoring points, just not scoring as many as Alpine in recent times. Woo! Wow. Lewis looks knackered. He looks absolutely knackered. I imagine he is emotionally drained. I imagine he is physically drained. But here we go. Look, track limits violations. Antonelli has been investigated for a last track limit because of where he pulled over, I think. He might even get a 5-second time. That says lap 10 at turn 10. Lap 20, lap 25, lap 28. Oh, they've picked up another track limits violation of Antonelli on lap 10. Antonelli might be getting a... I mean, would he have to serve that? He'd have to serve that. He'd have to serve that, wouldn't he? In the next race in Austria, wouldn't he? Would it go to a grid place position penalty because he couldn't serve it in the race? That's normally what happens. But interesting. Very, very interesting race. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I hope you guys did too. Not just because Hamilton won, but because of the strategy. We saw strategy involved here. I'm always intrigued when strategy. Maybe I'm a bit boring. But Lewis Hamilton, wow. 90%. 90%. Wow. Unbelievable. That's the most overwhelming driver of the day I think I've ever experienced. Even when Max won and came from like 17th to 1st that time. Next race is in 2 weeks' time. I'm on holiday tomorrow. I'm going to be sunning it up. And yeah, thoroughly looking forward to the next couple of weeks. Resting up for Austria. I'll be doing my driver ratings video, of course, this evening. That'll be going up. There probably won't be a preview video for Austria because I'm all... Oh, no, I can. I could get one done on a Thursday. I'll do a live stream, maybe. But there'll be a predictions video later on this evening, probably going up. And, yeah, we'll then obviously look forward to Austria. So, what a race there. Who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? Lewis Hamilton first, George Russell second, 19.5 seconds behind. I think that right there has exposed a weakness. I think that has exposed a weakness in Mercedes, that race this weekend. High temperatures are not their friend. They can't handle the tyre deg. Hamilton showed, obviously they did the strategy. They utilised the strategy very well. But that was significant pace that Lewis had there. And the fact of it, he still had as good tyres he had, I think just shows that we have still a driver. I know people have complained about drivers not having enough control and enough being able to make the difference enough in these regulations. But I think that race right there showed that drivers can still make the difference. It's the first race that we've seen tyre degradation really be a key factor for a race, and it's the first time we've seen more than one stop for a race weekend. And we saw Lewis, who is regarded as one of the best drivers for tyre management, really fair. Well, Max Verstappen, look, he's another driver who could do very well on tyre management, and look where he finished. I mean, I'm not criticising Max because their car wasn't here this weekend and they were on a different strategy entirely. He used two mediums and the mediums didn't really last well today, but it shows that Mercedes couldn't utilise the tyre management as well as Lewis. And I think there's a weakness there. I think there's a weakness. So every race now, Ferrari will be praying for hot weather. Had they not changed the start procedure, Hamilton would have won in Monaco on the race restart. I mean, I'm not going to go back to Monaco. We're talking about now. But the new season just started. I feel like it has, to be real. We've had so many different breaks, and we've had so many, like, the first few races that we go to as well. Like, I don't like races that are just easy one-stops. Of course, it's all the variety is part of Formula One and motorsport in general, but I don't like it when there's at least not the option of using a two-stop. Too often, we've been to races, even last year as well, where Pirelli are over they're overcautious with their tyre selections and just their tyre construction, and we get tyres that just don't degrade at all. You need some form of degradation because otherwise, yeah, there's never any element of strategy. Come to Boston and watch England. I don't think the missus would be too happy if I just up sticks and changed our holiday plans to go to Boston. First win since his McLaren days, but it's deserved. Oh, I disagree with that. That's a harsh comment. I think there's been lots of wins that have been deserved for him, even in the last couple of years in the ground effect era. And, yeah, many a time. Why is McLaren so slow, Glenn? I can't tell you that. I really don't know. I really don't know. Norris did a good job today. I think you saw Norris today just manage his own race and watch the Mercedes not really be able to pull away. But, yeah, I think McLaren, there's definitely clearly a lot of work that needs to be done there. And I think they're just, I don't know, they're a bit all over the place, I think, is the best way to describe McLaren right now. Hope Charles has his car ready for the next race. Well, hopefully Charles stops crashing. That's his first thing that he needs to do. Stop crashing, and then you might have a better chance. I mean, he is going to be, if yesterday didn't hurt Charles, if that didn't hurt him yesterday, which I know it did, this is going to hurt him even more because he's just seen Lewis win. He's just seen Lewis win. That is going to hurt Charles this evening. George actually has a big smile on his face. George has a real big smile on his face because he's thinking, finally, some bad luck has gone to the other side of the garage. And whatever you may think of who you support and don't support, look, he has had some bad luck. And today he probably thought he's had bad luck as well. because he was on the wrong side of the VSC and saw Lewis come out ahead of him. Whether he would have been able to hold on to the lead, I don't know. Anyway, Lewis did have some good pace, of course, and was better on his tyres. But he then saw himself come out, of course, behind Lewis Hamilton. He's probably thinking, damn it, I'm on the wrong side of a safety car again. What's going on here? And then he saw Antonelli overtake him after he's struggling on his tyres. He's probably thinking the worst. And then he sees his teammate pull over to the side. And I can only imagine there was a big smile on his face when that happened, or at least internally went, bank. It's about time. So, but I'm ending the poll because it's the most overwhelming poll in this channel's history. Lewis Hamilton, 90% he's got 90% of the vote for driver of the day. Credit to the 1% of you who voted for Colapinto. True fans. Kimi 7%, Gasly 2%. So yeah, undoubtedly, I think there's only one candidate, and that is not one candidate, but one winner, of course, and that's Lewis Hamilton. Looks like Kimi has 6 track limits. Does he? Let me have a check. No, 4. Nico Rosberg's interviewing them as well, which is interesting. Would have voted Hadjar, recovery drive hype. I mean, look, Hadjar did okay to get back to 6th. Of course, he was in 8th. He did what he needed to do. He lost a load of time at the start, of course, because he bogged down at the start, which I am not blaming him, because we've seen that from Red Bull a lot this year already, and it was a typical Red Bull start, and he ended up having to recover back to where he did. So, which to be honest, I don't think is that much of a feat, because there is such a gulf in performance between the top 4 teams and the rest of the field. So, I do expect, if Hadjar Piastri, I expect any driver who has made a slow start to comfortably make their way back through. And I don't rate a recovery drive like that as impressive as, if the performance was a lot closer, you know. When was the last time Lewis won a GP? 2024 Belgium. Spa, when George Russell got disqualified. Did Lando wear off his tyres to stop chasing and applying pressure on the Mert boys? Probably. I think Lando's a bit kind of... Lando's in a strange place this year, because he's not in a championship fight. Like, he's very... all sorts. He's just happy to finish a race at the moment, Lando. And I think he probably sat back and went, I'm just going to not get involved. I do think Lando probably sat there that whole time and just went, if these two crash and I nick a position, happy days. But I'm not going to get involved. It's not my championship to get involved in. I think that's probably he probably was his attitude. And lo and behold, he's benefited from a DNF from a mechanical failure from Antonelli, and he's on the podium. But yeah, I think he's clearly at all sorts this year, Lando, and that's not due to him. That's due to the car breaking down all the time. Hey, Mad, good to see you. Williams and Merc engines, dreadful. Yeah, will Ferrari be bringing in any Aduro updates for the next race? Not the next race. Supposedly, they said they can target Spa, and that Spa will potentially be when they bring their new upgrade, which is quite a decent, quick time to bring it in. Whatever Kim K's doing, I know, right? Look, if you're happy off the track, you're more likely to be happy on the track. Of course, you need the car right underneath you as well, but it truly is, like anyone who's done professional sports or anything, if you're in a positive place away from the sport, you're more likely to perform well on the sport, in the sport. Do I think it would be good for Lewis to cut his hair so it's like the old days? I don't know. I mean, just keep doing what you're doing, Lewis. Just keep doing what you're doing. That second stint, Russell got hunted down by 9 seconds from Kimi. Russell's pace kept Norris in play and would have aided a Lewis win even without the VSC. Yeah, so I'd be interested to hear the interviews afterwards, Darren, about George, because George complained on the first pit stop because he pitted only a couple of laps, I think it was, after Lewis, and Lewis started on the softs. And he was confused because he said he was managing. So the pace George was going at was to manage his tyres and to extend his first stint. And he got pulled in. And he was not happy because he said, you need to communicate to me more because I was managing. Basically insinuating that he could have pushed more on his tyres and used them more to build up a bigger gap at the front. And that's poor communication from the team. And then they said they're still on plan A. And then the second stint, it seemed like he was managing again, and he was managing versus Lewis. He was battling Lewis and managing. And Bono and obviously Kimi's side of the garage went, right, we need to just close up this gap now and use more tyre. And really, I don't blame George for that. I think I don't blame George anyway, because I don't think it's his fault. But I think that is his side of the garage telling him not to use tyres, not to use too much tyre, and for him to hit a specific lap time. So that's poor strategy from his side of the garage. And then the second half of the second stint, seemed like he killed his tyres. Thank you so much for the stream. You tell so much info. I'm really grateful. We will see you next race. Yeah, of course you'll see me next race. Yeah, of course you will. I'll be live for every single session this time around because I'm actually off work. I'm still not technically back off holiday. So I'm home, but I'm not back off holiday. So I will be live for FP1, FP2, FP3 qualifying and the race on Sunday at the Red Bull Ring. And then, of course, we have Silverstone the week after that. So, yes, big thank you for everyone who has subscribed and liked. 3,500 likes. And we've got 84,417 subscribers. That is a lot of subscribers we've had today. So, thank you. George's engineer is so bad, he literally never talks. I think there's a clear, definitive difference between his side of the garage and the other. I'd like to see I'd like to see George's comments afterwards to see like his thoughts on his strategy and everything. So, the amount of abuse Lewis has received about being washed or needing to retire, people need to apologise. He's winning the World Championship this season. Haters always going to hate. They're always going to hate. The best way to quiet them down is to do exactly what he's just done here. Simple as, really. Thanks, Carl. Much appreciated, mate. Probably my best commentary this year. Thank you. It's always enjoyable. I love it. And I love the strategy side of things. I really do. And it's when you get moments as well. But you get moments. Like, I'm a fan, guys. Obviously, I'm commentating to you. But I hope the passion comes across because I'm a fan. And I'm excited to see, like, moments in sport. And the sport that I love. And that right there is a moment. Like him winning a race in Ferrari. I mean, some people said it would never happen. And now look at him. He's 25 points closer in the world title to Antonelli. He's 7 points clear. He's gained another 7 points on Russell. 9 points ahead of Russell. And like, there's this serious conversation, I think, that has to be had. But Lewis is in this title fight. And one thing that Lewis Hamilton is consistent. And Antonelli and Russell, I mean, yeah, Russell has been, I mean, you would say he was consistent last year, but when you're in a title fight and you're going for your first ever world title, it's a different kettle of fish. It really is. It's so different. And the pressure compared to someone who's done it numerous times before, similar to Max Verstappen last year. And Piastri and Norris going for their first world title. The pressure on Norris and Piastri's shoulders was completely different to Verstappen's, who's already got 4. And it'll be the same this time around as well with Antonelli and Russell. Yes, Antonelli seems to be a cool cucumber. Oh, that's a bit of a tongue twister. But we're only 6-7 races into the start of the championship now. Wait until we get to the second half of the season and when there is real talk about him winning the championship and he's got this lead and so forth. So it's it's gonna be interesting. As I said before, I'd love for Lewis to win it. I am a Lewis fan, but I will criticise him where I think it's due. I'll praise him equally so where I think it's due. And today he deserves a full amount of praise. Like I think that's one of his top races. I really do. And in a car, really, the Ferrari. No one expected the Ferrari to win this weekend, and I think no one expected probably Lewis to be the car to come out on top. Especially he didn't participate in FP1. You have to remember, he didn't finish in FP1. So, I'm not going to lie, guys. Pretty cool to see the Union Jack flag. 3 of them up there because it's an all-Brit podium. Let's see if Kimi can overcome the bad days. Well, this is it now for Kimi. This was something that was outside of his control. And he can take solace in that. Same as George at Canada. You can take comfort that, look, he got George out on track and he was going to finish P2. Yes, he's lost points, but he still has a sizable lead, more than 2 race wins ahead. And as you know, he's not more than 2 race wins ahead of Hamilton now. 41 points is the gap. So he only has 1 race win and, yeah, he has 1 race win and obviously quite a large lead over Hamilton. But still, he can take comfort that he retired due to no fault of his own. Maybe, I don't know the reasons why the engine cut out, but Lewis did say in the cooldown room, he said, oh, did Kimi just run behind you too much for too long? Obviously a very hot day. Maybe that was why. If it is, then yes, there is a bit more blame to be had for Kimi and his side of the garage, because they should have said you should have dialed it back a bit. But they probably would have seen that on the telemetry data and all the temperatures that they have. Do I think Kimi's curse actually worked for Kimi? Then Kim's curse actually worked for Kimi, and Hamilton got a faster car than Mercedes for this weekend. I don't know. Well, the thing is that I don't think it was faster. I mean, how do you define faster? I guess because obviously he's finished 20 seconds ahead up the road. But I think what we saw today was, the driver definitely make more of a difference. I think George Russell has been someone I've been critical and others have been critical of his tyre management. Kimi Antonelli is, I said it at the start, he has an aggressive driving style. Seesaws on the wheel quite a bit. That's not going to work very well for managing tyres at a track where it's 50-degree track temperature. And then Lewis is someone who we know that's one of his biggest strengths, his tyre management. He knows how to do that. And I think we saw today the driver definitely made a difference. The strategy played a tremendous role. That free stop and going on to that medium. And yes, fortuitous with the VSC timing, even though it looked like it wasn't going to be. But I don't know. I think you saw Kimi and George's pace on the hards. I think Lewis would have had enough probably to get past them. So Mercedes over a single lap was as quick as the Ferrari, but over a race distance like this and a race like this, the driver can make a difference. And we knew it was going to be a tyre management race, and one of the best to ever do it, as in relation to tyre management, came out on top. Surprise, surprise. Where's that 1970s bloke saying Lewis couldn't manage the tyres? Probably went somewhere else where someone agreed with his opinion. But yeah, definitely not washed. Just like how Max Verstappen isn't washed. You know, I said it before. The ground effects era really, really did damage to Lewis's legacy, because that was a car. Those cars had a very, very unique way of driving. There's a completely different way of driving. They were cars that were not nimble. They weren't light. The largest in F1 history. When they first drove them, they said they were like boats, driving boats through corners. That's how laboured they were, and they didn't lend themselves to drivers who like to brake late, who like a car that moves about. And that's why Ricciardo, we said yesterday, struggled. And is now no longer in F1. The ironic thing is that these cars would probably like him, like them. He'd probably like them. And Lewis, everyone did say coming into this season that these cars would lend themselves more to Lewis's driving style. We are seeing that. Thank you, Sheba. Much appreciated. So Ferrari can win Austria. I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, Austria is definitely a track. I think you've got 2 tracks coming up. You've got Austria and Silverstone, which have been notoriously difficult on tyres. So, yes, potentially. Yeah. However, Red Bull Ring is definitely a power dependency track. We no longer have the DRS, which used to need a 7 tenths advantage or an 8 tenths advantage over the car behind you to be able to get out of the DRS because there were 3 DRS zones. Now we will have the overtake, which we know is effective. We might see more yo-yo racing at Red Bull Ring, but you can't use the overtake mode every single lap. So I expect Mercedes to still be strong there. Ferrari will fare well there, and they'll be hoping that the track temps are sky high, which Austria can get. And of course, Silverstone can also get that way as well. But equally, Silverstone can be pissing it down because it's the UK. Oh, but there we go. There we go, guys. 2 seconds. Please tell me they've arrived. Cool, they've arrived. Happy days. I've got some last minute clothes to go pick up for the holiday. As a typical man, always got some. Always forget some things, don't we? Always forget some things. But yeah, that is. Do you think that's the result of so much greediness, Kimi? You're happy now? At least Russell win. Well, Russell didn't win. I don't know. We'll find out whether that was a. We will find out whether that was actually a DNF and a mechanical issue because Kimi decided to drive so close to Russell for so long. As I said, if that is the case and he ignored advice to drive so close to Russell, then yes, he has to take blame for the mechanical failure. But I would presume that they would be able to spot those temps getting high if, like, from the pit wall, because they have all that information. But yeah, I'm not going to blame Kimi for it. We've seen George's battery go in Canada. We've now seen Antonelli's engine go / battery go. I don't know what the fault will be for it. So they are vulnerable to reliability issues. They've made a quick car, and that power unit is quick, but they have a whole host of reliability issues. And Charles Leclerc, I think, had the first reliability issue of Ferrari this year. Other than maybe like some deployment issues that they've had in qualifying and stuff and in the race, Leclerc had the first proper reliability issue of Ferrari. But maybe that was something because of what he calls from a crash yesterday. I don't know. But Ferrari have been one of the most reliable teams on the grid. And if that continues, that is going to score them a whole host of points this season. And if they bring that brand new engine and upgrade that, that's going to be impressive. That's going to be good for them as well. But anywho, guys, I am done for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. What a stream. What a race. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and for all the subscribers and all the likes. I am now off on holiday for a well-needed rest for a couple of weeks. I suggest you guys do the same. And I'll try and fit in driver ratings. If not, we will see you in a couple of weeks' time for the Red Bull Ring. So yeah, have a lovely rest of your Sunday. Championship on for Lewis Hamilton with Kimi Antonelli. We will see. It just proves today that this is a very long season, and I think anything is possible regardless of who you support. George just gained an important 18 points back on Antonelli. Hamilton 25. The championship is very, very well and truly still on for those 3 drivers. So we will see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you, everyone, and bye. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.